Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Hello everybody and welcome to the Virtual World Sportscar Championship for 2023, where there are just 3 hours remaining of this season. 100 minutes of those come tonight at Road Atlanta as we honour the penultimate race of the season at this great venue, our final American circuit on our schedule this season, and we've got an hour and 40 minutes ahead of us to decide who is going to take the advantage in the respective championships going into the final race in Bahrain. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside James Broadcasting for the evening, who's also behind the cameras as well, and we're looking forward to being back at Road Atlanta, James. I am looking forward to not seeing the circuit for a while, to be fair. We've seen it quite a lot in the last few weeks, but it's Road Atlanta season. This time of year means Road Atlanta, and it means we're going to have another race here tonight for 100 minutes. The very tight and difficult nature of this circuit going to provide difficulties for absolutely everybody today.
Yeah, we've been here quite a lot. It's around that Petit Le Mans season, so you know, a lot of leagues have been at Road Atlanta. We've been here quite a few times ourselves. I think, you know, constructively, after we were talking the other day, this is like the 6th time or something that we have been here. So all in all, you know, yes, I'm agreeing with you. I'll be glad to see the back end of Road Atlanta. I love the circuit, but yeah, there's only so many times you can have it put in your face constantly with cars racing around here. So it has been a tough season, but these guys are going to be doing incredibly well. You know, there's a lot to talk about in conjunction with championship standings and stuff today as well. But, you know, let's have a look at the track first.
Yeah, now it is in a little bit more detail. The 11 or 12 turns, sorry, that you get around here. Pretty difficult to pin down how many corners are around here, because the chicane, for example, 10A and 10B, we've been through that. But anyway, and the S's aren't really numbered, are they, at all either? So go figure that one out for yourselves. But that's where we've got the red zone all the way down the hill there. We've got an orange zone from the start of the lap as well to the exit of turn 7. Drivers advised to take a lot of caution at the start of the race today, and basically in the first sector for the whole of the race today, because that's where the difficulties really lie.
Yeah, definitely that first section going uphill into turn 1. You know, you want to point it at the tree at the top of the hill to make sure that you're going to make this corner here for turn 2 and turn 3. It's always a little bit more difficult going in through the S's. That's why that permanent red zone is there, basically to say, look guys, you can make the overtake, but if you don't and it goes wrong, you know, you're going to be punished heavily. But this is the schedule so far.
Yes, we're of course nearly complete now, but Road Atlanta, our penultimate circuit on the calendar. Over the course of the last 5 events, it's just been an hour-long race. Now we're going into some longer ones again as the real-life sports car season ends with a couple of longer races, of course, Petit Le Mans last weekend, and the 8 hours of Bahrain, which is in November, as is our finale, but that's just 80 minutes, not 8 hours. Just an 80-minute race for us then. But we've are in for an exciting end to the season at Road Atlanta and Bahrain. Two very different circuits indeed. Tyres on show once again, as always. Soft and medium for Hypercar, soft, medium and hard for GTs. I'd be very surprised if we see any wets come out later on. But tyre temperature is going to be one to watch, I suppose. It will obviously be a little bit lower now that we're in the darkness here at Road Atlanta. We do often see a lot of driving in the dark in Petit Le Mans, about 3 hours or so, sometimes more. And we are starting pretty cold here tonight as well. You'd imagine with these temperatures, as the night has fallen, that might be a little bit of a problem for them trying to get the tyres turned on, especially if there's going to be a lot of tyre changes today, which is possible based on what we heard earlier on.
Yeah, it is as well, and I think that's the thing. The Hypercars are going to be in 3 to 4 stops. The GTs are going to be in 3 stops. You know, we're looking at whether or not people are going to double stint the tyres, whether or not they're going to be able to do that as well. They are in that nighttime period. Cooler track temps, less deg. Obviously, it does still play a part, but it's making decisions on what they're going to do in conjunction with tyres and how and if they're going to take tyres every time. I know, Ross popped in and had a chat with us. He said on Thursday he was able to double stint the tyres, but it was quite slippery by the time he got to the end of the race. So we'll see how it goes and see whether or not what's going to happen here. But the challenges for today, they're up on your screen now.
Yeah, crowd surfing. They don't mean obviously concert style. It's just going to be trying to surf your way through the traffic, I suppose, which is going to be very, very important to the race today. Lots of pit stops today, so fuel and tyre timing going to be very important as well, because it could be 4 stops in Hypercar today, maybe a couple less, or maybe 1 less in GT, probably going to be 3 there, but definitely 3, probably 4 stops for the Hypercars. And then who are the best night riders in terms of coping with the darkness? Lots of plays on words there in our keys to the race this week. Crowd surfing, yes. Night riders, but there we are. Who wrote those?
I'm not sure. Basically, Ross just sent them to me and says, "Here you go, mate."
Bit of artistic license this week. But don't mind it. It's that's absolutely fine. But they will all be important over the course of the race. We could actually hit our server cap, by the way, tonight. There are a lot of entries, and not all of them were designated at the start of the day, and so we could reach the cap, which is normally at 45, or meant to be, but as we were hearing earlier, sometimes it does count spectators as well, of which James is one, of course, because that's how you're seeing these pictures right now. I'm not, so you'd hope that it might be 44 maybe, but we'll see what we get to by the end of the warm-up session, if we do get anyone joining as late as that. Qualifying is just around the corner, so let's have a look at the standings before we get there. Yuji Mazur is very close to picking up an LM GT3 AM Championship at the end of the day. 7th place will be enough for him to take that one. Stephen Miller and Peter Meyer now quite a long way back, but the only other two still in contention. Matt Buse and Stuart Barge will probably fight for 4th for the remainder of the championship. Matt Buse might be too far away to take that off his teammate now. Justin Petrie is in 7th ahead of Adam Gray, the only BMW inside the top 10, ahead of Filippo Marazzi and Ed Jones, who are your LM GT3 AM top 10, with Trash Panda Racing also having the chance to take that title in the teams tonight as well. They hold 74 points over their rivals at the moment. In GT3, Stardust Autosports are the only team on there, and they've been doing pretty well. Becky Ely and Jamie Zalecki are 1-2. Becky Ely can clinch the title today by winning, but winning only will do for Becky Ely. Jamie Zalecki will be 2nd at a Brandon Gant, with Vasilis Katerinakis in 4th position. JT Tami and Johnny Gutierrez are 5th and 6th, despite their 2 wins each. Vinicius Gonçalves is 7th ahead of Sashin Sobas, who also has a race win. John Mayer and Yuki Takanashi, who's had some good results at the end of the season, is rounding out the top 10. In Hypercar AM, we could see the title taken today as well by Wayne Hutchison, who is in a deep fight, by the way, with the rest of the team's championship contenders. Philippe Enrique is one of them. Guillaume Benck is also involved in the championship fight because there's a possible 76 points available here. Barry Damaso, the first driver not in contention anymore. William Miller, the best of the drivers to have not scored any wins so far. Michael Locke and Oliver Newman have 2 each. Louis Hesketh is in 8th place ahead of Benjamin Porchesif, and then Maximilian Petrovsky is in left place. That was difficult. And the teams on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, sorry, by the way, 1 point separating HPD and Stuart House, which is very impressive indeed. Then we've got Hypercar itself, of course. Last week, or well, not last week, but last round, Daniel Kirby took the title here ahead of his teammate John Uyen. Then it's Tom Lane, who's the best placed of the non-race winners. Timon Subic is fourth, ahead of Magnus Dahlgren. Mia Rose in sixth place, although she hasn't been here for quite a while, unfortunately. Brian Hall, seventh, ahead of Walter de Bruyne. Then Ross Smith, who we'll chat to later on, of course, and Bradley Sellers rounding out the top 10. CMS Pro were the first team to clinch a title as well, and they are Hypercar champions. So plenty on the line tonight. There's a point for the pole position as well over the course of these races, and that means that over the course of the last round, the total is at 39. If you're within 39 points of the championship leader at the end of the day, then you will be in championship contention at the end of the day as well. But will we get there or not? Will we see titles clinched today or not? I have a feeling we might see GT3 Am taken by Yuzi Mazur, because apparently he only needs 7th place. That's what we heard at the end of the last round. In reality, he is 69 points ahead of Stephen Miller. Even with a 7th or an even worse result than that, Miller needs to take quite some points away from Mazur at the front of these standings. He's in a very good place to take the title here today, but for the others it's going to be difficult. Hypercar Am and GT3 seemingly going to remain close till the end.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the interesting things. You know, at the end of the day, these standings have been close, and I think it's great for the championship that they are still close. What Jaime Selecki and Becky Ely, who's on your screen right now, both are here tonight, so this could be an interesting, spicy race, to be honest, and I think it's one that will come, you know, down to the wire. The Hypercar Ams, well, Wayne Hutchinson and Philippe Henrique, it's a little bit more, you know, open, I suppose, in conjunction and I think at the end of the day it will be who can keep it on top. But obviously we've already seen Daniel Kirby and I believe Eugene Mazur wrap up their championships. I don't think there's really anyone that's going to get close, but the Hypercar Ams and the LMGTs are still open, so let's see what happens here as well. Qualifying is underway, obviously, with the GT3s out on track first, and currently in pole position is Becky Ely.
Yep, at the top of the standings by quite some distance right now as well. Actually, it's a best time of an 18.4 at the moment, but well, I say quite some distance. I'm of course not reading that right, because Monroe's very close behind. Let's see what the new times are going to be like in a moment. Ely makes the way of a line at the moment and stays in that first position, of course. And not with a big advantage over the others. In fact, you know, we're not expecting big gaps today in any of the categories. It's a short lap around here. Even for the GT3s, they're able to go around here in less than 80 seconds, which is very impressive realistically when you think about what a difficult task it is to go around here, and a technical course at that as well, but quite a high speed one in the same way. So that's why we see times close, although Yuki Takanashi has just made it quite a lot less close with that time. He's now roughly half a second, I think, ahead of the rest of the field, including Becky Ely, who's now second. Yeah,
he's gone out and put in a 1:17.9, half a second back there over Ely. He's got practically a second on Monroe's. So yeah, Takanashi putting a stamp down and saying, well, you know, this is mine, thank you very much for turning up, I'll have this and you guys can fight over the scraps. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one in this battles. I think there's going to be battles all the way through. I'm interested to see how they handle the traffic. I am really excited to see how they deal with that traffic, because traffic is going to be at a premium here on a very short track, and also 41 cars in the session is going to make it very, very tight. So yeah, we're going to have to pay attention to the traffic, see what happens and see how many dramas we have and how much we have, but hopefully it'll be relatively clean in conjunction here as well. So, you know, these aren't general go out and crash figure it up, like they do get quite clean in what they're able to do in their racing. So let's see how that one works out. I'm interested to see what Jaime Selecki can do at the moment. He's sitting in 6th on the 1:18.971, half a second off Becky Ely. Of course, that's the fight in the LMGT3 AMS, but Yeah, for Jaime Selecki, he kind of got to get a little bit of a roll on to see if he can get closer, because once them hypercars start coming through, you know, the GT3s do lose time with the way the hypercars come through, and obviously if they're not keeping up with the people in front, it brings that aggressive driving, which leads into mistakes, and then it all just goes wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly does. Selecki needing a performance today, though. Otherwise, this championship run is going to come to an end a day early, or around early. Brandon Gant still realistically and mathematically as well, and a few others as well, like Katranakis and JC Tami, still involved in the championship fight, of course, but not as close as Jamie Zalecki is at the moment. And in fact, they're all being eclipsed. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Zalecki certainly is being eclipsed by one of the AMs at the moment. Trying to figure out how many times Daniel Doug has been here in the past, and it's not many. It's indeed just the one race, but he did win from pole position in AM there. Oh no, I'm reading the wrong row. They didn't win from pole position, but he did win the race on that day. Now is what, 7th overall in the GT3 qualifying, and that is a fantastic performance from him to get ahead of the likes of Pullen and Mazur, who have also done qualifying laps for the moment. So good start in GT3 AM there for Doug, and we'll see if he can take a second race win in a row. A good late season charge here from a relative newcomer to the series, and made a debut for at least for this season. Just one round to go.
Yeah, he did come in, didn't he, as well, Daniel? So he come in, I believe we were at the 60 Minutes of Indianapolis there, where he did obviously win that one. But yeah, he's coming to Red Atlanta and Bahrain. Maybe he's just giving it a test to see how he gets on for next season, and whether or not he's going to come back again. That could be, you know, points of people coming in this late, I think. Sometimes, you know, we do get the odd messages running leagues where people say, hey mate, can I come in and have a go, looking at going towards next season, and so on and so forth. So maybe Daniel Doig might be coming in next season and wanting to get out there on track, but he is doing a stellar job, as I say, sitting in 7th in class at the moment. Craig Pullen is here leading the GT3 AMs. Daniel Doig leading the GT3 AMs, Craig Pullen in 2nd place. So yeah, it could be a nice little tidy battle all the way through. I think there's going to be probably a good few people involved in this GT3 battles, and it'd be nice to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, it will. Looking forward to seeing the end of this qualifying session now, because there's not a lot of time to go, and at the moment the top drivers not out on laps. At the moment we've got Takanashi leading, then Ely, then Monrose and Southern lap at the moment as well, all in the pit lane. Brandon Gant as well, that's 5 of the top 6, in fact 7 of the top 10. So we've got Doug out there as well as Mazur as well. They're separated by 3 tenths in the top of the GT3 AM standings at the moment as the session draws to a close. 20 of them have now set times, few of them quite a few seconds away now, unfortunately, and this is just putting Mazur in an even better position now in GT3 AM. In all honesty, Stephen Miller is a long way back at this stage, despite the fact Mazur is down in at 3rd place, and there is the Porsche of Yuji Mazur. Miller is way down in 17th overall, and in AM that is another 4 or 5 places behind his main rival, so that is not good news, and the fact that Mazur of course is in the top 7, which is what he needs. Yeah,
realistically, with how consistent Mazur has been this season, I cannot see him being caught by Stephen Miller. There is quite a massive gap. You know, it's, what is it at the moment, 40, 50, 60, 70, 69 points. It's a bit far for him to try and do that, and they've got 38 for, I believe, for the win this time around, and then in the 60 minutes they've only got 25, so that's 38, 48, 58, 63. It's there ain't enough points there for him to make a dent, I don't think. I think Eugene Mazur's got to make 0, and Stephen Miller's got to get the pole positions on both races, which doesn't necessarily say that's going to happen.
Well, doesn't seem so likely at the moment. JT Tami back inside the top 5 here for GT3. Not a bad performance at all. And as mentioned to us in the past, you know, he's been disappointed to have missed a couple of the rounds recently. and without having missed those, maybe would have been involved in the championship fight. But as of right now, Tommy is 53 points back, with a possible 78 on the table if you're going to count pole position as well. Tommy does improve though, 4th place on that one, gets ahead of Jesse Monroe's, which is a good performance, but they're all, well, those two anyway, behind Doug, who's up to 3rd now in GT3 qualifying. As that draws to a close, it's now time to turn up the speed by an extra 10 seconds or so, because the Hypercars are making their way around, led of course by the champion in waiting, Daniel Kirby, who confirmed that last time out at Indianapolis. Now that his championship lead is around 85 points with still 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, Kirby. Do you know that there's probably not a lot of other superlatives you could say for this man, to be honest, apart from just wow. He has been incredible this season, you know, and I think he's probably going to be incredible here. I think this circuit will probably suit his driving style, you know, in that Peugeot X8, and I think at the end of the day it's a great car driven by a great driver. I don't think there's anything really more we can really say about what Dan Kirby's done this season. He has been absolutely extraordinary. Good evening to Teenage Racing. Becky's going for gold, definitely will be. Mr. Reese, good evening to you, and Adam Gray. Good luck, Craig Pullen. Gutted I can't be racing. So unfortunately it looks like Adam Gray is missing this one out. But yeah, Kirby's on pole, 107.204 with an 8-tenth gap over his teammate John Uyan. Oh, as he puts it on the grass.
Yep. Well, yep, and that will be the end of that for the moment. But not as big of gaps as we normally see, and that's probably down to the length of the circuit once again. I mean, the guys going around here in, what's that, 67 seconds or so? It's very, very quick indeed. Felipe Enriquez had a good start to this qualifying session as well at the front of Hypercar AM. I'm not sure Wayne Hutchison has set a time yet though, and that's going to be starting to come through in a few minutes' time. In fact, he has. Hutchison has set a time. He's only 3rd in Hypercar AM for the moment, but Enriquez has done a good job here. He is now smoking.
Yeah,
so
just noticed that.
Know, has he been stopped for a while? Because often when you, in R-Factor 2, if you stop for a while and then like making a pit stop and then you carry on again, the engine does overheat a little bit, and you do have to just run at pace for a lap or so to get rid of that. But maybe he's tuned the engine so hard that he's blowing it up as he goes around. He does improve again and goes into 9th for the moment. That is still the best time in Hypercar AM, of course, but he'll want to make sure that those engine problems and any engine worries are carved out and ironed out by the time that we actually get into the race, which will be a while away after warm-up when this qualifying session is complete.
Yeah, I think that's probably one thing he wants to have a look at, generally, because, as you say, we don't really like seeing cars go around with smoke coming out of them. Not an ideal scenario here as well. Ernest Bernardo is also here as well in that Porsche 963. I believe this is probably his first run out. I don't remember seeing Bernardo at all this season. Don't get me wrong, Ewan, it has been a long season, and I probably can't remember every driver that takes part, but I'm pretty sure I have not seen this young man before as he's gone into the pits. He's currently sitting in 4th at the moment.
No, Ernest Bernardo. I mean, I'll look for him on the standings, but he's not there. So, yes, I'm going to presume a new driver as well. I mean, it's great to see new drivers at this end of the season. Often you get in a series that the regulars, obviously, like Ross, who we're seeing on the screen right now, we speak to every week, and we know that he's on the grid every week. But you know that there are some people who aren't so regular on the grid. But you get people joining halfway through, and it's always a sign of a good league and a good format that people are joining so late on, because motivation for a season generally goes down. At Daytona at the very start, everybody's right up for it and ready to go. But unfortunately, by the time you get to the latter portions of that and the end of the season, this is the penultimate round, for example, you see it tailing off, but certainly not. We're not making 2 servers anymore, of course, which we were doing at the start of the season, I suppose, but we are still filling a single server, and that is still very impressive over the course of a very, very long year which it has been. So, yeah, great sign for the series that we're even getting new drivers on board now, and good drivers as well. Bernardo's in 4th place for now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is, as you said, you know, meaning that people want to get themselves involved. Generally, they would come in, as I said before, late to try out the series and see how they get on with it. So for the likes of Ernest Bernardo, it's great to see, you know, and Mike Bell, I don't believe I've seen either this season. I'm just looking through the standings list. Oh, he has been here before as Mike Bell. So, yeah, this isn't the first time we have seen him. When was Mike Bell here? As I just go and scroll through, he got half a point at the 60 minutes of Spa. Did Mike Bell, and then 2 points at the 4.8 hour of Le Mans. So a couple of outings for Mike. Good evening, Carl's boys, as well, and Mr. Reese. Let's hope Pullen doesn't bump into cars as much this time. I believe there's a story there somewhere, so, you know, tell us more, Mr. Reese. Was it on Thursday night that there was a little bit of an issue, or is it in previous races? But John Oyan currently sitting in 6th. Dahlgren sitting here just about to come out the pits as well. So interesting to see what Dahlgren can do at the moment as he's sitting in that 7th place here on a 108.130. Kirby again just gone faster. You're on 106.968. So if they let Daniel Kirby go, well, I've got to safely say it could be good night.
Well, I don't know if they'll have a lot of choice, really. Look at the gaps behind. It's 6 tenths from 2nd to 10th, for example. But other than that, there's a gap between 1 and 2. Bernardo goes up into 2nd place now. He's only half a second away, but even so, that is quite a big gap. In Hypercar Am, Enrique is still leading. Michael Lock is in 2nd, then Wayne Hutchison in 3rd in those standings for the moment. That'll be an important one to watch over the course of the day. The gap between 1st and 3rd in points is 15 points, and that would bring Enrique a lot closer and put him only 23 behind going into the final race, although that's just still seem quite a way away at this stage. Excuse me, it's 10 points less than that, isn't it? You've got a 34 gap at the moment, so that'd be what, 19 points, would it?
Yeah,
we'll figure that maths out if we have to. But he needs to make it closer basically today, doesn't he, really? 34 points at the start of the day is pretty close to having it sealed by the end of the day for Hutchison, so he's going to have to be very careful about that and make sure that he keeps Enrique in check and doesn't allow him to gain too many points if he does gain any at all.
Yeah, I think that's the thing in championships, you know, with the Hypercars, obviously pros, we know Kirby's wrapped that one up in the AMS. It's really weird because Wayne Hutchinson is teetering on the edge of successfully taking the championship, but is all on what Enrique can do and whether or not he can go out and win, and as high as Hutchinson's got to get. There's a lot of nullification that could happen just by making one mistake, you know, and that's the same kind of situation in the LMGT3 pros where there's a 20-point gap between Ely and Zelecki. Again, Ely probably can wrap it up today, but again, there's circumstances, you know, that might not let her wrap it up, and that's one if she loses if Jaime Zelecki goes out and wins. But at the moment, with Zelecki sitting, you know, quite a few places, what is it at the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places back, it's a tough ask because Ely has been so consistent. So I'm probably going to say that there could be all 4 championships wrapped up here, as we have got 2 of them that have already done. You know, Hutchinson has been again another consistent driver, Ewan, and I'm struggling to see what Enrique can do. Enrique's been very up and down. He's had his moments at circuits as well. So for me, it is going to be Kirby, Hutchinson, Ely, and then Mazur. I think they're going to be the 4 that will probably wrap that up by the end of today.
Well, you just never know whether it's going to happen or not. But based on qualifying, it is looking all right for the championship leaders. That's still seconds remaining, and they've now elapsed. And the checkered flag now waves at Road Atlanta for qualifying. Daniel Kirby in first, ahead of Bernardo, and then Tom Lane. Ernest Bernardo, and then Tom Lane in third. Brian Hall fifth. And then Mike Bell to round out the top 5 in Hypercar. Ross Smith down in 12th place. We'll be chatting to him in a short while at the end of qualifying. But now that the time has elapsed, that should be the end of it for absolutely everybody. And we'll be in warm-up pretty soon before we build up towards the race. 100 minutes here tonight at Road Atlanta coming your way, and it's going to be a very interesting 100 minutes indeed. Looking forward to seeing how this gets on, really, because it's a very tight circuit. A lot of drivers are out there on the track together, and it's going to be very, very busy for a large portion of the day. As we saw in our keys to the race earlier on, crowd surfing going to be very, very crucial in terms of getting your way through a problem. The problem being all of the traffic that is going to be around you. The other thing is as well, it's going to be not only people of different classes, but also you're going to have to put laps on people of your own class, because it's not just 60-minute races as we've had for the last 5 rounds, but it's a shorter track as well. If you were a minute ahead of the pack at any other circuit, you wouldn't be thinking about lapping anybody, but you are around here. I mean, for example, Daniel Kirby just got into the 66-second mark. He did 106s there. He's certainly going to be lapping a lot of the field over the course, or whoever it is in the lead of Hypercar, going to be lapping a lot of their own class in the field here tonight, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think probably Kirby is going to take this. I do believe he's probably going to lap everyone, probably near the top 5. I wouldn't be surprised if he got up past pretty much most of them, maybe even possibly putting a lap on Brian Hall. That's not detriment or to anybody else here. Just Kirby in a 106, he is literally like rocket, isn't he? He's just so quick. So I think for him, it's going to be a Kirby day unless he makes something drastic happen, but not really the norm for Dan Kirby. So it's going to be, I think, an interesting one there on how he gets on. Now, obviously, with that 66-second lap, and we've got 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes on the circuit, they're going to be looking at doing near on probably, well, they might just get to 100 laps, maybe 99 or something like that. But either way, there's going to be a lot of times they're going to spin around this circuit.
I don't think we're going to see triple figures tonight. I think that's going to require less than 1 minute lap times, which I can't see happening quite. But we are going to get into the 80s, the 90s in terms of laps. Getting quite dizzy at the end of the day, you would imagine. We're just in warm-up at the moment, and that should be on for another 9 minutes or so. Gives us a bit of a chance to speak to Ross Smith, one of the drivers out there, of course, and behind the organisation of the league, as we always tend to do in these warm-up sessions. Have a bit of a chat with him. Welcome in, Ross. Good to have you alongside us all over again for another round of the series, penultimate round as it is this season, I should say. Just personally on qualifying, first of all, 12th place for you at the end there, I believe. At least it was until the final seconds. How did that session go for you overall?
No, not well. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was, unfortunately, couldn't really bank a flyer the way that we had been working in practice, and I was hoping to get a slipstream off of George, but I ended up getting too close to him, and he kind of butchered the last segment, so I lost that advantage. I could have been probably up at least a few more spots, but that's okay. It's a long race. There's going to be attrition. It's just guaranteed at this point, and so I'm just banking on that. I'm going to try and keep it on the black stuff.
It is going to be attritional. What do you think a lap-to-lap basis is going to be for the Hypercars? Because I was talking earlier on about, obviously, the GT traffic, but also the other Hypercars who are on different laps to you are going to be a problem as well because of the short lap times we were just referencing. There's a lot of cars out there as well. Just how busy are you expecting it to get?
It's going to get busy. It's definitely more full than it was at the sister league on Thursday night. NARS only had like 31 cars, I think, running. So even then, it got crowded very quickly. And even when the GT spread out, it still required a lot of very careful selection in how you took lines, and saw that there were quite a few people who just they couldn't handle it on their own. I mean, let alone being around others. But I mean, to their credit, I guess, they ended up crashing just more of their own accord, just over driving corners. There's a lot of full commit corners here, and if your car is fading or doing things you're not expecting, or if you're reacting to a situation differently, certainly as the night comes on, you kind of change your braking points a little bit more. It can definitely have an effect, and you're going to see that a lot today. There are going to be quite a few people hitting barriers, going off track, probably hitting each other.
Yes. Let's hope we see minimal of that, but you never know over the course of the day. Let's talk a little bit about the mod and how things are going there. We're in the last 2 rounds of the season now. Of course, we've nearly had a full season of running with these hypercars, which I've got to say look as good as ever out there on the circuit. Great variety that we have in the Virtual World Sports Car Championship, as well as we've seen all year as well, which is very pleasing from a spectator's perspective to see so many brands on the grid and so on. But how's the mod looking as we end the sort of 2023 season now with the last 3 hours of racing, which is what we have now?
Yeah, thank you. It's coming along really well. Pretty much gotten to a lock-in point where we'll probably be done updating what cars are here now, besides just some quick critical or very minor changes that need to be done. And then we're going to focus on getting the new cars in for 2024, and then just total cleanup, because we'll have obviously there are quite a few GTs that are going to get new cockpits. They're going to get new Evo versions. A few, we're going to replace the Glickenhaus and the Toyota at some point here, and get those updated. I know the Glickenhaus is not going to be running, so we're kind of talking a little bit about how we're handling that. As there are more and more announcements within WEC, I'm sure you may have seen some of the news articles on teams that are or not in. Nothing is quite confirmed yet, but we are starting to firm up our list of available cars going into next year. And of course, we're going to be bringing some new ones in. You'll see 2 very famous European marquees on the grid, as well as an American one. So we're very excited to bring those in on the GT side, and get them going. We're working full bore on getting that 24 mod in here. I mean, I can say personally, I've put in more hours working on the mod per week than I have at my actual job. So it's been, and the other guys are doing just about the same, if not more so. So I mean, it's all hands on deck trying to get this thing tuned up. We're going to be bringing some of the new regulations for tires that they're looking at, trying to get some of the compounds updated, so that way they're even more realistic, which I think is going to throw some people off who are kind of used to being able to do things a certain way, particularly in the hypercars. But it's all going to be good. It's going to be a great experience, I think, for everybody. And we're really excited. And as we go into next year, the regulations are going to be updated, so you're going to see a lot more emphasis on teams. And we will no longer be offering multiple servers. It's just going to be one server, so it's kind of like whoever's made it to sign up, and with priority on teams, that's what's going to end up being run. So that'll clean things up there, make it easier for you guys, so that way there's no splitting, make it easier for admins, and I think the racing will just be improved overall.
It certainly will be. Any news on historics as well? That we've any more advances on the announcements so far? Or are we still waiting with bated breath about that?
Oh yeah, tons of new stuff happening there, and we actually have quite a few cars pretty much out on track in near finished format. They're looking absolutely gorgeous. We're trying to get those visually in a really good spot. Models updated this weekend, and then the plan as of right now is that if all things play out on schedule, then JPB will have the premiere during the final race of the season at Laguna Seca.
Nice. Looking forward to that. Of course, still I think 3 historic rounds left on there on the season still to go. I think that's what I saw earlier on. May have miscounted. Maybe I'm discarding one. 3 to go. So we look forward to that, and make sure you stick around to JPB, because the next historic race is next weekend as well, by the way. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Just before we let you go, Ross, bring it back to today in the here and now, because warm-up's nearly finished. Tell us a little bit about the strategy here tonight for the hypercars in terms of tyres and the sheer amount of stops that you guys are going to be making, which I hear is going to be fairly plenty tonight.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of guys going for 4 stops, just going flat out. There might be a few that are going for 3. We'll see how it works. And as far as GTs, I think they should be locked in at 3. I'm not 100% on that, but As far as tire choices go, I think it's just going to be everyone's running soft compounds. GTs might be moving to mediums if they're finding that there's too much tire deg, but overall the strategy is survival. You got to make it to the end, and this track is technically difficult. It requires full commit, and if you're in a wall, you can't finish the race.
Well, exactly. That is going to be the name of the game. Ross, thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us pre-race. Once again, been good to hear from you and the updates, and we wish you good luck for the race, because it is going to be about survival, as you say. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you doing well out there on the circuit.
Thanks. Same to you guys. We really appreciate everything you're doing and bringing to the championship and to the league. And I have no real hopes of me seeing you at the end, but hey, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Hopefully we do. Ross, thanks very much for coming to chat to us again, and good luck with sharing a pit box as well, because I can see you line up next to someone, so I'm sorry about that, but anyway, that'll be something to contend with a little bit later on. Just around 30 seconds or so to go in warm-up. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt, along with you for the race. 100 minutes ahead of us, James, and they're just in warm-up at the moment, figuring out who they're sharing their pit box with, and then we will be ready for the race pretty much. But yeah, we're already looking ahead to next season, and very excited about it as well, because these updates are going to be coming thicker and faster, and they're going to be just improving the whole standard of everything here, really, which just continues to keep getting better and better, and we're very much looking forward to seeing what's in store in 2024.
Yeah, we definitely are. I was hopeful we might have given us a little bit the more on the historic, but I could probably understand that he's not. As you say, he's going to give it to us in Laguna Seca, which is fine. He did send me a grainy picture this week, and he was like, "There you go, mate." And do you know what? I couldn't see an absolute thing in the picture. He distorted it and did all wonderful Photoshop things with it, and I was just like, I cannot see anything, mate. Are you aware I wear glasses for a reason, right? I haven't got 20/20 vision, so whatever you're sending me, I can't see. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think I'm really looking forward to the announcement on the historic, and I think if anybody has got a rough idea how well they're going to be, well, they are going to be absolutely amazing. But we can do the grid for them now. They should be getting on track shortly, so we should have the full grid standings ready to go. Pontius Heath is on track, so there are the grids for you, sir.
Yes, it's Daniel Kirby on the front with Ernest Bernaldo alongside. Tom Lane and Brian Hall will line up on row 2. On row 3, it will be Mike Bell with the 5th place, Timo Subic alongside. Wouter de Bruin and Magnus Dahlgren, who were both comfortably inside the top 5 at Indianapolis. They are 7th and 8th to start the race at Road Atlanta. 9th will be John Uyen, quite a long way down for him, 2nd place in the championship. Jerry Chen is 10th, ahead of Alexander Schultz. Then it's Ross Smith, who we were just talking to, of course, in the 12th position. Michael Locke is on pole for Hypercar, and that was quite a late change. Jason Whitehead splits the top 2 there. Philippe Henrique in the 15th place, ahead of George Angelidis in the Acura in 16th. Wayne Hutchison down in 17th, looking to clinch the title today. Jules Lalonde and Eric Meunier are 18th and 19th, ahead of Benjamin Portersheath, who is 20th in the Toyota. William Miller is the final of the Hypercars before Yuki Takanashi, GT3 pole sitter, ahead of Becky Ely. Daniel Doig has done a great job in GT3 AM as well. He's on pole there. 3rd overall in GT3. JT Tammy and Jesse Monroe round out row 13, with Max Sundberg is in 27th of Brandon Gant, who is 28th. Jamie Zalecki needs to take points from Ely today, but does it from 29th overall. Craig Pullen rounds out the top 30, with Peter Maher and Adrian Rice on the 16th row of the grid, and we're still only about 3/4 of the way down. Eugene Mazur has a chance to clinch the title today from 33rd, out of Alain Lafrancois. That's going to be Vinicius Gonçalves and Roland Hagnars in the 36th place. Joshua Petrie is 37th, out of John Mayer. Then it's Stephen Miller, who needs to gain points on Mazur today, and quite a few points at that, to keep the championship fight alive. Mike Buse is fighting for 4th in the AM standings, and will do it from 42nd. Kevin Torrance is in 41st, ahead of Vasilis Katrinakis, to round out the 42 cars on the grid. And by the way, my favourite of them is lining up in 41st. Kevin Torrance is in a wonderful Ford Mustang, and doesn't it look fantastic in the yellow and red on the back row of the grid there on the inside. A sort of wide-looking but mean-looking car. I don't know where it's come from in real life. I don't think I've ever seen it before, but it's absolutely fantastic in GT3 form. Unfortunately, starting from 42nd here today, but there it is at the back of the field, and yeah, it is ready to go as we are from the back. There are the front drivers making their way away for the formation lap. Daniel Kirby that will then be in control of the field very soon. 42 cars on the grid here tonight, not quite reaching our cap, but still reaching a very, very high number, it's got to be said. And that will be a concern for everybody in terms of the traffic and working that out over the course of the day.
I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to be the careful side of things. They're going to have to take it easy over the first few laps. Let them tyres heat up, let them settle down a little bit, and then push and deal with the traffic as well. The fact that the hypercars are only going to go around about 23 to 25 minutes before they've got a pit, I do find that quite amazing, to be honest, that they're going to go such a short stint here. But I guess when you're doing 106, you've only got 60-second laps here, and obviously with the amount of time we have got, they're going to be doing a lot of laps. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be exciting. Survival will be the key. Keeping it out the wall will be the key. And will all 4 championships be wrapped up today? Well, we're going to find out very shortly.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no in the answer to that question so far. By the way, we will have at least one title fight to really struggle out, because the team standings in Hypercar AM, as we explained at the start of the day, are only 1 point apart at the moment, and so we will have HPD going up against Stuart Haas Racing for that AM title no matter what happens really here. So in some ways we will get one nevertheless, but will any of the drivers still be available at the end of tonight's race? Daniel Kirby taking them on a relatively slow formation lap, it has to be said, before getting us underway for the race. Unfortunately, Wayne Hutchison and Gilles Lalonde have fallen to the back of the field. George Andalidis has gone DNF as well, so I'm not sure what's happened at the back of the field, but there's been some changes. I hope there's not been a crash on the formation lap.
I think there has.
Dear. Okay.
I think, whoa.
Well, we might be getting a restart for that. I'm not sure.
Yes,
But,
I
yeah,
think we are.
I reckon we'll be getting a restart for that. George Andalidis not even in the session, and we had a crash as well at the back between Hutchison and Lalonde, and that would have been huge for the championship, wouldn't it? Absolutely huge if Wayne Hutchison was out. It was actually Gilles Lalonde with a hardware issue that caused some collisions, and that is why we are seeing the restart now. So the correct decision means we have to go through the formation lap all over again. Hardware problems apparently causing Gilles Lalonde to fall to the back and cause some crashes, unfortunately, which is a shame, but it had to be done. We had to make a restart there as a result of those issues.
Yeah, definitely. You can't let it run like that at the end of the day. If it is Gilles Lalonde's, obviously it's not his fault. You know what I mean? It's like now, if the whole broadcast cut out and the internet went off, it ain't down to me. So for Gilles Lalonde, I think with the fact that he has had hardware failure, it is a right thing to do. And look forward to seeing how it goes now. Hopefully he might be able to make it back without any issues, but only time will tell. So let's see what happens with Gilles Lalonde and whether or not he can get it back. But I think a right restart is a right choice as well, because the last thing you want is for everybody to not make the start again. Do you know what I mean? Just because of that one thing. So we'll have to see if he can get it sorted out. But definitely a right choice here from everybody. So we will be a little bit delayed on the start of the race, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the bells on both channels. If you're on CMS or if you're on JPbroadcasting, that will be absolutely amazing there once more. But we go again, dear sir. We do have 9 minutes of warm-up. I do wonder if they're going to advance this session or if they're going to leave it running.
I'd imagine they normally advance it, but obviously you've got to wait for Lalonde to rejoin again and sort out his problems if there were any, and Angelidis as well, who dropped out for some reason. So I don't think it's going to be another 10-minute session, or at least we hope not. But we'll see whether we do.
I'm just asking
this whole
now.
warm-up session or not. Yeah, we're just finding out at the moment, but I wouldn't imagine so. It depends what it is, really. We haven't actually heard what the hardware problem is for Lalonde, because a hardware problem doesn't say anything massively specific, does it? It does tell us what's gone on, of course, but it doesn't give us anything hugely specific to go off, and so we don't know how easy it's going to be for him to fix these hardware problems, even in the space of 10 minutes or so, or maybe even a few days. If he was given a few days, it might not even be very easy, depending on what the problem is. But we are going to wait for him to at least be in the session again, and this is his car on the garage at the moment, so I think he is there. But is there something going on with his wheel, with his computer? We don't know, because nothing looks wrong from here, but clearly there is something wrong.
Yeah, there clearly is. I'm just trying to filter through the cameras and see if we can see any form of problem. There kind of doesn't look like, but as I say, if it's hardware based, then obviously, we're not going to see it anyway. I think hardware is more wheels, pedals, brakes. Wheels, pedals and brakes, you know what I mean, wheels and pedals situation once more, or PC issue, you know what I mean. I don't think it's a car issue. So hopefully, touch wood, we might get Lalonde back, and then we might be able to get this going again. So if they are going to give it the full 7 minutes, then we will obviously have to wait the full 7 minutes. It's only fair at the end of the day for Gilles Lalonde to get an opportunity to try and fix whatever that problem is. But he did cause an incident with Hutchinson and Angelidis around him, which has, of course, caused the restart.
Yeah, it has. Unfortunately. Well, to be fair, I'm not sure if Angelidis was involved directly as well, but because he seemed to DNF entirely, which suggests to me something else. But I mean, we've got no idea at this moment, to be honest. But it's a disruptive start, isn't it? Especially for Wayne Hutchinson as well, who is of course fighting for a championship today. 34 points in the lead currently, and if he finishes ahead of Philippe Henrique, then most probably he will take the title at the end of the day as well. But obviously Henrique could still beat him, and this is not a good start either for Hutchinson in terms of concentration levels, and in terms of going for the task at hand, focusing on that. Then this is very, very disruptive for that indeed. Very, very difficult to come back from that. See what kind of headspace he can get back into once we get back going again, because Hutchinson has been very disrupted with that opening formation lap. Now, though, he's going to have to get ready quickly again, because it looks like we're advancing forward to the race.
Yeah, it does at the moment. It looks like they're all getting on, which is great for everybody. So I think, we might be able to get underway. Hopefully Lalonde has fixed whatever the issue is. So we should get this going again. We have got that formation lap once more, which the guys will need to go on. But it is what it is. It's not a very long lap. It's not a very long formation lap. So hopefully they will get up and running and underway.
Apparently Brian Hall as well in the changing of the restarting of the sessions. Brian Hall dropped out, unfortunately, and we can't have him not filling that gap on fourth on the grid, and so he's back now, and thankfully is back out on the circuit, so that we can get this going again. Now, Angelidis was around Hutchinson and Lalonde, so it probably was related, wasn't it, actually? I thought Angelidis was one of those in a GT3 for some reason, but he's absolutely not. That's not a GT3. He's in the hypercar category. Yeah. So you're probably right, actually. That probably was related with Lalonde and Hutchinson just behind him. I'd imagine Angelidis probably had to DNF entirely, even on the formation lap. So clearly things went drastically wrong back there at the back of the pack when we tried, at least, to start this race.
Yeah, if we could sit here and say that, look, everything's going to work amazingly. Well, unfortunately, life just isn't like that at the moment, and with so many bits that's got to work cohesively to get you online, your electric, your internet, your steering wheel, your computer, the game itself has got to work correctly, because as we know, that it can crash itself and do wonderful things. So there's so much stuff that's got to get it right to get you here that you don't actually realise how much you are relying on. You know, over the last few days where I am, we've had a nice little bit of storm and rain, and at one point, you know, both mine and Zach Sweeney's electric was going mental at the same point. So, you know, it's very tough to say that, look, predictive-wise, you hope nothing was going to happen, but it's just not possible. It's just not possible.
I'm not sure how many of the drivers are actually from the UK actually on the grid at the moment, but
you get the idea of what I mean. Like there's so many cohesive bits that's got to work, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yes, totally. I'm just thinking about the recent events in the UK and seeing maybe who's been affected, if at all, by any of that. But there are not too many, in all honesty. Not absolutely loads anyway. So, but yeah, you're right. Anything can happen with these kind of things, and we talk about it all the time because it's prominent all the time. It's equivalent to a mechanical failure in a real life race. That's our version of them. Daniel Kirby will now get us underway, and unfortunately, Kevin Florence has already gone back to the pit lane in the Ford Mustang. Don't know what's happened there to send him back there. He was going to start from second last anyway. But for whatever reason has gone back to the pit lane now, and hopefully this doesn't mean another restart to this one, because everybody else I think has gotten away cleanly, gotten back into the session cleanly, and he's going to fall down the order. He may well rejoin and start this race from the pit lane actually. But as I say, does it really matter if he starts from the pit lane or starts, you know, after everyone else when he's down second last anyway, and last of those in GT3 AM? I'm not quite so sure it will matter a load, just as long as he actually gets into the race and we can get underway on this second attempt.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could get underway, could get up and running. That would be absolutely awesome as well. And just the scary thing now, just as I start talking about issues, my internet spikes like crazy. So hopefully that settles itself back down again before we get going. And I know for a brief moment it might have turned the broadcast a little bit into almost like a picture book, a flick book. But let's hope it settles down and gets going again here as well. And it looks like it's settled down a bit, obviously, with Daniel Kirby going off round 7 now before they go on that wonderful run. Should we say 8 and 9, or should we just say straight to 10? That's the question, straight down to 10A.
Oh yeah, the numbers do go all over the place at Road Atlanta, as we well know. So it's not ideal whichever way around we do it, really. So I do start to uncare.
Me too.
But anyway, yeah, it's not quite a straight, but it's the best overtaking opportunity you're going to get down in towards the final chicane. It's a downhill braking zone which just extends the distance you're braking for, and that means that there's a little bit more that can go wrong, but the best opportunity on the circuit by a mile. Thankfully, while it is one of the only ones, if not the only one sometimes, you do get round to it every minute or so, and so that does provide us with plenty of entertainment here at Road Atlanta, which is, I'm sure, what we're going to get. Daniel Kirby makes his way out of the final chicane right now, and it's a slightly shorter run to the start-finish line on this occasion for us to get underway. The Virtual World Sports Car Championships penultimate round at Road Atlanta, the 100 minutes coming up right now. Daniel Kirby in control of the field all over again. He gets us underway from the front in the Peugeot, and he will be uncontested in towards turn number 1 by those behind. It's Bernardo in second place, followed by Tom Lane to round out the top 3, then the rest of the prototypes in the background, and then the GTs at the front of the GT3 Pro field. Of course, at the moment, it is the pole sitter who's going to get underway at the front ahead of Beck Healy. It was, of course, Yuki Takanashi who took that pole position and has now gotten away very cleanly, although takes a short trip into the grass on the start there. In GT3 AM, it's a good start for Daniel Doig as well, who gets us underway nicely. It's a clean start for everybody, single file down the S's for the first time, and we will be racing now properly, as all of the cars seem to have gotten away cleanly, even the Mustang, which had to come into the pit lane as we got this formation lap underway. But I think everybody has gotten away pretty cleanly from this opening lap, and in fact Torrance hasn't. He's DNF'd early on here, but other than that, 41 cars out there on the circuit.
Yeah, it is. There was a bit of a feisty bit of contact at the back as they were coming around that final corner. I believe it was Monet, Hutchinson, Benjamin Portief and Gilles Lalonde got themselves caught up in a little bit of drama towards the end of the pace lap. So I'm going to be interested to see how that one settles down. We've now got Lalonde down in 20th place here currently, but generally over at the moment, Daniel Kirby 1.3 seconds out in front, which is just absolutely extraordinary considering this is like lap 2. He's also dominating. Tom Lane is sitting right up behind at the moment Ernest Bernardo, so that's great. Down in the AMS, Mikalok has got Jason Whitehead for company, and Enrique has got Angelidis. Wayne Hutchinson is about 3.9 seconds back away from George Angelidis already, so whatever that little bit of drama is that was involved at the end of that pace lap, it was obviously affecting Hutchinson here once more as well. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how that one goes out. I would try and search it, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a needle in a haystack here as well. So we'll see what happens. But at the moment, it's Mike Bell sitting in 5th with Brian Hall in front and Timon Suvic behind.
Yep, they're all in a line here for 4th place is what it will be. Hall holding on to that one for the moment, ahead of Bell in the 5th place, but very close behind. And look at how close the rest of the field is actually as well on the way down through the S's here and into the final corners of this section. Now up over the very, very difficult turn 5, as we've found out in our recent broadcast here. It is a very tricky corner, so many bumps on the outside there, and it can be an easy place to find yourself unstuck. In fact, I found Enrico having a few problems there in qualifying as well that we caught on the stream earlier on. Out of turn 7 they'll go, and now towards the best braking zone and the best overtaking opportunity they'll get on the circuit down here into the final chicane.
Will keep up with the guys in front, and then you've got Adrian Rice here and Daniel Doig leading the GT3 AMS, and he's currently nestled once more with Jaime Zalecki. So for Daniel Doig, sorry, that's Craig Pullen. So for Craig Pullen in the BMW, him and Daniel Doig are having a nice battle in that GT3 AM championship. So battles starting to materialise here, but also a lot of gaps, and one of them is up front with Ernest Bernardino, who is not able to get the gap down to Daniel Kirby. He's still 1.1 seconds back at the moment. So, but for Timon Suvic, he's still in this train.
He is, and now trying to get himself out of it, or at least into the middle of it. Can't do anything, and nobody can on the way in towards the final chicane. But as we spoke about with Ross Smith earlier on in the race, this is about, or earlier on the broadcast I should say, this is somewhat about survival as well. And so you just wonder how hard these guys are going to be fighting for these positions right now, when you know that the traffic is going to be coming soon, and you know that the race is going to change as well.
Takanashi's off.
Oh dear, one of the GT3s is off there. It's one of the McLarens. I hope it's not using Mazur, who it drives a very similar looking car to the one that I think I just saw in the background there. Not sure
it's
who that was at all.
Monrose.
Okay. Oh dear. And Jesse Monrose qualified very well indeed, so that's not good at all for the driver of the McLaren. Already a lap down. Don't know if that was a solo incident or not, but it's dropped the McLaren down a very long way.
Yeah, we can have a look now and see what Jesse Monroe has been up to, or Monroe, sorry, as he comes up into turn 1 and then runs wide, gets on the curb. It's easily done. I think that's the thing, isn't it, with that one? And we have seen that before in other series. That outside curb on turn 5 just kind of sucks you in, gets you stuck, and well, that's the result for Monrose. So yeah, tough for him at the moment, as we've got this lock and Enrique battle for the Hypercar AMS.
Yeah, this is a battle for the front positions up here. Ross Smith is not too far in front of these guys either. He's battling with Jerry Chen at the moment. You can just see that battle further up in front for now. He's got the class split on the left-hand side for you, so you can try and follow who is where in the field. Now there's going to be difficulty with traffic, though. We're following down the S's here, and this is going to be a very, very slow run through the S's indeed for Locke, and Enrique is just behind. Then it's Hutchison, nearly 9 seconds behind, though, to be fair, so they won't be particularly bothered by the championship leader for the moment. They will go side by side for the lead, though. Michael Locke under a lot of pressure now by Enrique, who looks to the inside at 6, but it doesn't happen there.
Yeah, it doesn't as well, but you were talking about that 9 seconds, but that one brief little hold up cost them guys 2 seconds. Hutch is now only 7.6 seconds back here currently at the moment, so he's closed up some of the gap, but for Felipe Enrique at the moment, he's just got to try and stay as well with the guys in front, and that is always going to be difficult when you can see Mika Locke going off there. We've got a back marker in front of us, we've got Angelidis in front of that as well. So he's got to try and keep that position from Locke, who, well, he seems to be doing a stellar job with the traffic management at the moment. He seems to be finding them in the right places. A big puff of gravel smoke there as well. Somebody's off the side of the circuit. They are back on. I think that was Roland Hagenas has taken a trip off at turn 1, and now, as you can see here with Michael Locke, he's just got to sit here, isn't he? As somebody else is off as well. I think that's Jocelyn Petrie is also off the side of the circuit. So a lot of people getting that turn 1 and that S is completely wrong here, and that unfortunately is causing all the wonderful world of the gravel and the mud and everything else to kick off the side.
Well, traffic is always going to be a very, very important role.
It's gone round!
So for, oh dear, Angelidis is around in the background, along with maybe Enrique as well. How badly was he caught up there? Well, not sure. George Angelidis was certainly one of those who went around, and it's all stacking up at turn 7 as well. As a result, it will filter through. Now, let's have a look at a replay as to what happened. Was Enrique really caught up by this? Well, I think yes is going to be the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
at
it.
the end of that. Yeah, so this is the incident. It's a lock-up and a spin for Angelidis, and Enrique's an innocent party there who gets caught up in that entirely.
Yeah, you can see Angelidis struggling to get it round there, and unfortunately did cause a mass sort of collision almost, which is a bit of a shame. But the biggest shame here now is Felipe Enrique. He's dropped down to 20th place and has lost that position to this man. The championship leader, Wayne Hutchinson, is in front here. You got the GTs running side by side. That is just going to be looking at 2 40-foot trucks on the motorway who decided to try and have a go at each other there. That's never going to be good, and that unfortunately is going to cause a bit of a problem for all of the hypercars behind them. You see 4 of them there wrapped up here trying to get past them. That's Hutchinson, Angelidis and Gilles Lalonde trying to clear these 2 GTs that are obviously in their own battle, but side by side with the GTs on that run down through the S's. As I say, is that annoying thing on a dual carriageway when the 2 lorries decide that they want to overtake because one's doing 4 miles an hour quicker than the other one, and then we're here for, well, you're just sitting there forever for miles behind them as they try and overtake each other. But that's kind of the same scenario, if you get what I mean on that one.
It's going to feel like a bit of a roadblock to absolutely everybody at the moment, unfortunately, and Enrique has already had to come down pit lane as well as Miller. It's Steve Miller in the Hypercar AMS as well, so 2 out of the 5 already in pit lane, and one of them is a championship contender. As of right now, Wayne Hutchinson would be taking the title at the end of the day, as Gilles Lalonde is the one we're riding on board with. Is in a very similar situation to what you just described of trying to watch people overtake one another, and it's taking a very long time at the moment. There's cars absolutely everywhere in front of Lalonde, and he will just follow them on the way down through the first sector. But as I said earlier, this is really going to be about survival. That's what these opening moments are like, and so far Dan Kirby has survived, but not with a huge lead. He's only got a second and a half or so over Bernardo, who still remains second.
Do you know the interesting thing is, I'm looking at inputs on that Peugeot with that steering wheel. Even on the straight, he's kind of almost having to make corrections with it, which to me seems very bizarre. You know, he's not at the moment, but coming out of turn 5 and going down to 6, there was a few corrections on the steering wheel going on for Gilles Lalonde. Like, he's almost turning it to make it go straight, which obviously, please don't get me wrong, I'm not completely dumb, and I've been around the block in commentary and I do understand the way it works, but not generally on a straight. You shouldn't have to try and turn the car. So I don't know if he's a little bit off centre there with damage, or he's got something. Oh, that's not going to help him either. So I don't know if he's got something going on in that car, but I'll stay on board for that run between 5 and 6 here. And you just might see a few twitches for Lalonde to almost kind of kick it straight, as there's another off track. Jason Whitehead has gone off here as well. So he's just, I don't know, there. It's a little bit strange, but maybe he is carrying damage, or maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Either way,
it's somewhat difficult to tell sometimes. You're not often going very straight around Road Atlanta either, which doesn't help when we're trying to work out these things. I just seem that we've got the 4 back out there on the circuit, by the way. We've got the yellow and red, you can see on the right hand side there, back out there on the circuit, so that's all the good news. As Lalonde now closes on George Androlidis into the final chicane now. That's not going to happen though in terms of a move down there, so they will remain where they are for the moment. Just around 15 minutes complete though. There is the Corvette just in the background, making its way out of the final corner now. Kevin Tarrant's back in the race, 10th place in LMGT3 AM of course, but still in the race, which is great to see, because we love seeing that Ford Mustang out on the circuit, and it certainly is all over again. Very glad to see it out there, because it's a wonderful car, albeit laps down already, and obviously on a bit of a hiding to nothing at the moment, but still out there on the circuit and hopefully having a good time, and making up the quite tremendous numbers we have on the grid here this evening, making Road Atlanta a very, very busy place in the opening moments of this race.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's interesting to see it on the circuit. You wouldn't necessarily expect to see a Mustang out here as well in the modern series, so not sure if that weren't the one that did Le Mans, was it?
No, I think Tarrant's did Daytona maybe, although I'd have to check that. I think he's making a debut. We have seen a Ford before, but that was in the GT3 Pro category, and that was at Daytona. So I don't think we've seen this car specifically out here in the modern series before.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what modern series it's run, because obviously we're doing a modern series. So I'm just a little bit confused. I don't ever remember seeing it out on a track in a real life modern scenario, unless I don't know. Maybe I'm completely missing something here, and just may have missed it out on the circuit, I guess.
This is what I was thinking about earlier on, and what I kind of alluded to. The Ford Mustang GT3 doesn't actually exist yet in terms of a racing car. They have announced that it is going to happen. It was apparently revealed at Le Mans this year, and it's going to race in 2024 in the World Endurance Championship, I think. So it is a GT3 car that's on its way, rather than one that already exists. So that is why we haven't seen it out in real life before. But I think it's been, because in our list it's just a concept, which I suppose it certainly was back at Daytona when it was first and so far the only time it's been raced in this series. So yeah, it's effectively a concept that we've got here on the grid, but it will come to fruition in real life next year.
Yeah, Seawolf there. I don't know if you guys are reading chat. This Mustang is one that was announced for next year. Oh, sorry, you are talking about the car specifically. No, it's not raced in real life yet. So we do read YouTube chat there. Seawolf as well. So yeah, it was one of the interesting things. But we've lost 3 drivers. We've lost Jason Whitehead, we've lost William Miller, and also Mark Sumferlap. For Whitehead, he's had a bit of a horrendous time as well. He did take an off track here. That he's also put himself.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's. You just know when those replays start on the top of the hill, they're about to descend down the S's, that it's not going to be a good time for anyone. No. Unfortunately, it wasn't. That's a real shame. Getting himself out the grass now, and it's proving to be quite difficult to do that, and goes back to the pit lane as that's happening. So that's the end of that, unfortunately. Back out there on the circuit with Wayne Hutchison now. He's in Hypercar AM, of course. We've already got Miller out of the race, and I'm not sure where Enrique is going to find himself, but Wayne Hutchison here is in the dream situation. He had a disaster, of course, on the formation lap for the opening attempt at this race. Thankfully, we went for a restart there because he really could have been in a lot of trouble, but this time it's Enrique who's in a lot of trouble right now. Would be losing points on a day where he really can't afford to, with just one round to go after this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Hutchinson wrapping this up at the moment as well. Enrique's 2 laps down. This is Jerry Chen. He's fighting out with Ross Smith, only about 3 tenths apart. You can see Ernest Bernardino and Daniel Kirby's now 2.5 seconds. So Kirby has extended that, but then again, Kirby's traffic management is probably superlative along with his driving, to be honest. The way he handles the traffic is absolutely incredible. So for Daniel Kirby, I think he's doing a great job there as well. Wouter de Bruin is also locked in a little bit of a battle at the moment with John Uyan not too far back and Brian Hall not too far in front. So it's been a little bit of the interesting one. 3 cars down already, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, it's Road Atlanta, it's that kind of racing, isn't it, Ewan? And I think that's the problem.
Exactly, that's exactly what we're expecting from the day. So can't come as too much of a surprise to anyone, really. Brian Hall is the one at the head of the train for the moment. Got a BMW behind, one of the Peugeots, some of the other hypercars as well, some of the other GT3s as well. Let's see if there's going to be a move down here. This is all very close, and Hall is going to hang on to 6th place for now with a bit of a half defence, I guess, but it was enough into the final chicane. Now moving through on the inside of one of the Mercedes into the final corner. Skip past another of the Audis on the front straight as well. We're in the traffic portion of the race, and as soon as that began, you just knew that it was going to be like that to the very end of the race, because it's such a short circuit. I'd be surprised if there are many laps, if any, where these hypercars are not having to overtake at least someone.
Yeah, I don't think, to be honest, I'm alongside you on that one, sir. I don't think there's going to be any laps now. They've started entering into the traffic, then they're not going to be overtaking. John Uyan doesn't look like that Peugeot is kind of hooked up there. He's got massive amounts of overspeed. He has oversteer. He hasn't got a lot of understeer on it, but the oversteer is quite horrendous. He's got to kind of turn it and then let it kind of go in on his own, unfortunately, for John Nguyen. So that could lead to sort of the way his tyres will be going off as well. Pay attention to the track there, John. It goes right there, sir. So, and then you can see we've got more GTs in front of us. Jerry Chen back on the back end of Ross Smith. This is in that hypercar battle in the GT. Whoa. Yeah. That could have been a little bit more dangerous as well, but in the GT3s they're kind of all spread out at the moment, so this is probably one of the closest battles on the track.
It very much is, and it was very nearly contact between them as well. Very late on the brakes from Chen into the final chicane there, but they all got away with it. We've just gone below the 80-minute mark, by the way, and this is the distance that we'll have in the next round. That's to come in 3 weeks' time at Bahrain, so make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel and take a look at that. In the meantime, before then though, we've got more historic racing coming up on the JPB channel all over again. The 250-kilometre race in Austria is next week, so make sure you tune in for that. And then 2 more races, double weekend header after that at Miami and Laguna Seca, a double American leg to end off our season in the historics. So make sure you tune in for that, as well as a long season in both of the series finally comes to a close. It's still a lot up for grabs in those as well, of course, so looking forward to seeing how those races transpire in the end. Out over the line again for this battle. Nothing really happening on this lap really, and you do get these laps sometimes where all that happens between 2 drivers, and that's probably because of the bit of traffic which has separated them. It's not fallen very well for Chen here really. He's allowed the front drivers to get away, and that sometimes happens through no fault of your own.
Yeah, it does. I want to have a look back here and see what happened to Benjamin Porteous Heath. I'm also wondering if Kevin Torrance has been involved in this, but we'll have a look now. So there is Porteous Heath. He gets it wrong in turn 1 and goes off the side of the circuit, but Kevin Torrance has an off-track not long after this. I was hoping they weren't going to make contact together, which I don't believe they have. Oh, maybe they did, because now Kevin Torrance is at the top of the hill. He just gets it all wrong for turn 2 and 3. So, yeah, that's that one. Vinicius Concalves has also just taken off the side of the circuit. Oh, turn 5 is claimed the first one here this evening, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. And how bad was this Jaime Zalecki off? Because obviously with him in the championship, well, he was helped off there, and unfortunately for Jaime Zalecki, he was helped off the side of the circuit.
Certainly was. That was not ideal at all for Zalecki. Coming into the day, only 20 points behind Becky Ely, and of course 39 on the table at the end of the day. So needs to gain a lot, does Ely, but doing a good job starting off this race. Zalecki's still 5th as well, by the way, with Ely 2nd. That would give her a 12-point advantage, and that still wouldn't quite be enough for her to clinch the title today, I don't think, with that 2nd place. It wouldn't be quite enough, because it would be in the 30s, the low 30s, and you can score 39 at the final race. So I'm going to say that means she hasn't won the title quite, although drop weeks do come into effect here. And we need to work out what her worst two... her worst 2 results are 0, so her worst 3 are 0, actually. So she can't actually drop any results anymore. And that means that... yes, it wouldn't be enough at this stage in the race. I'm not sure whether anyone else could still be involved. I think it would just be between Ely and Zalecki, and that would be the only championship fight going into the final round if things stay as they are.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's, as I say, it's really weird. It looks like Lepetri's just gone off the side of it, and so is Gilles Lalonde.
Oh no, Takanakis. It was Yuki. It was the leader, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he has.
Takanashi. It was the leader. Yuki Takanashi has gone off the road at turn 1. There was Hypercars around. That's Jerry Chen going up the inside, but it's nothing to do with them. Oh no!
He hit Lalonde on the way out.
Very unlucky Hypercar on its way out the pit lane there. And another Hypercar doing a very good job to avoid a spinning Takanashi there. What a shame that was. Who was that? It was one of the Peugeots. Oh, Lalonde's had a terrible day, hasn't he? Poor Jules Lalonde. Straight into the wall as well. That wasn't a soft impact. So that's a real shame for Jules Lalonde. By the way, the Hypercars are making their first round of pit stops already. And it's not an early stop. It is scheduled just over the 20-minute mark. If you want to do just 3 stops in the race, though, you'll need to get to 25 minutes into this one. That is still a few minutes away, but most of the leaders in Hypercar are in, and they'll be hoping that they don't get a spinning GT3 right in front of them as they exit the pit lane.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. You definitely do not want that to be happening. JT Tummy and Becky Ely still happening here. For Gilles Lalonde, he didn't really, I don't think he really knew a lot about it, unfortunately. He just kind of went round there, and out come, there was a car in front of him of Takanashi. So Becky Ely now takes up the lead in the GT3, so we'll keep an eye on that and see how she manages to get on and whether or not she will take out that take the win here. But she has got JT Tummy pushing it up as well. Now I want to bring you, I've just done some research on the Mustang GT3. The interesting thing is you can actually own it as well. You can discover how to get your hands on the exclusive Mustang GT3 race car. So you can inquire with Multimatic there as well. You can express your interest. It doesn't unfortunately give me a price, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, you can actually own the Mustang GT3 as well. So I think that is absolutely impressive. It is going to have a 5.4 litre natural aspirated V8 engine in it, but you know, it's you want to put it nicely, but the Mustang's not best known for handling, is it really? And it's kind of like it's not really sleek. It's just it's, if you look at it, it's big and bulky, isn't it? It kind of gives you, well, like the BMW beside it-esque sort of feature, but looks a little bit more of a handful to drive. So I'm not too sure I'd want to buy that. Let me know in YouTube chat if you'd actually want to buy the GT3 and you know, own it and race it. But I don't know, it just looks too, well, it looks a handful. I'm not going to lie there, as you saw from Kevin Torrance. It does look a little bit of a handful, but yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to own one of them.
Well, I think it would be nice to own one, and to be fair, I think the handling, they have improved on the handling as well from previous Ford Mustangs. I don't think they're as, you know, big and bulky and difficult to drive as they look, maybe, but you can't. There's no substitute for that sort of natural handling and that naturally low centre of gravity, which one of these lower, more sleeker models may get. However, yeah, I mean, it'd still be nice to own one. I don't think it's going to be in any of our budgets at the moment, but there we are. Even so, it's out there, and it's new on the grid for 2024 as well in real life, as we've had it for a season now in this series. So still out there on the circuit. I think Ernest Bernardo still hasn't pitted yet, has he? And he is now leading the race, unless he's jumped Dan Kirby in the stops, which will be an impressive one. Kirby hasn't long been in, actually, and whereas Bernardo's, what, quarter of a minute ahead at the moment, maybe a little bit less than that. Yeah, just under 15 seconds. So I don't know, it's possible he's pitted, I suppose, but ideally you want to be going 20. We've done 28 minutes of the race now, by the way. You want to do 25 minutes of the race if you want to do 3 stops, because of course 100 divided by 25 is 4, and that's 4 stints, 3 stops. If you can do 25 minutes, then you can do 3 stops on the day. I think Dan Kirby, at the very least, has been able to do that. Not sure about Bernardo, but he'll be hoping that he has, so that this lead is legitimate. It may well be, I'm not sure.
Yeah, John Uyan and Tom Lane had a big old moment there as well, coming down through the S's. Not entirely sure that they should have been doing that one together. Now, the thing is with these pit stops at the moment, just trying to bring up, it says, you know, I can show the number of stops, but it's got Kirby as not actually having any. I'm looking through to making sure that Kirby's not had any mistakes, but he has been into the pit, so I don't think that number's completely correct. Oh, John Uyan with a big old block on Tom Lane. It's gonna invoke contact. That was no. That was just a no. John Uyan there with a big old block on Tom Lane. He did have to deal with a GT3, which is fine. I fully get that. But yeah, that was a very, very wide block as well, which it kind of doesn't inform me a little bit, because I don't know if there was need for him to come that wide over the circuit. But Tom Lane is still looking very, very mighty here. As you can see, you've got the GT3s in front of us as well. That's Becky Ely and JT Tammy, so they are not going to be impressed if they end up involved in any form of contact with these hypercars here, because that will damage both of their races, and that's not an ideal scenario there either. As Uyan once again makes sure he puts his car in the right position coming down, and there's a big old gaggle of cars here, and all of them trying to fight for the same track space.
Oh my word, too many people in one place there, and late braking as well in towards turn 7 for everybody. Tom Lane still now with John Ian right behind, and they are now running side by side past Becky Ely, who is still leading in GT3, of course. So this could all get on in towards the final chicane now between these 5 hypercars, who are all very, very well matched indeed, and they've all made their way through on the GT3s thankfully now. But John Ian is through on Tom Lane. Just in behind we've got then in 7th place Mike Bell in that position. Now they run side by side again in towards turn 1. Not quite for Tom Lane on that occasion. He's going to get a good one out the corner, and Bell's going to get down the inside, up on the grass as well, and maybe throw on both of them. Bell down the inside of John Ian. There's slight contact between them, but they'll get away with it. They'll still run side by side down the hill, and he has got the place. Very impressive at the top of the hill there from Bell to get ahead of absolutely everybody, and he is now into, what, 5th place, ahead of Ian and also Tom Lane in the Porsche.
Yeah, he claimed a bit of a 2-for-1 special there, did Mike Bell. So, yeah, that's an interesting one there once more. He did a great job going up through to 3, to be honest. And, well, yeah, that could have been worse. I am not going to lie. I have not seen 3 hypercars go up to turn 2 and 3 and try and make a move made there. As you can see in the background, we've got John Uyan still going. Mike Bell still having another go with Brian Hall. But Tom Lane and John Uyan not leaving each other apart with Timon Suvic as well. So you've got 4th to basically 8th all on the circuit, all within that same bit of space. And they're still going at it with Mike Bell and Brian Hall as well. So these battles are not finished here yet. But Mike Bell, well, to pull that off up the top of the hill, past 2 cars, that was brave.
Yeah, it certainly was. And now looking for another one on the run down the hill here towards the S's again. That's not going to happen, and this time it's actually, well, it is for a position again, isn't it? Because it's Hall just up in front at the moment. There is going to be a car in the way though, and that GT3 is going to stop any chances for Mike Bell to go through here. But it's all a battle for 4th place at the moment. Hall in 4th, then Mike Bell, then it is Tom Lane, who's now ahead of John Ian. But they're all in one long line as they make their way up the hill again, down the back straight towards the braking zone at the end of the lap in towards the chicane. Mike Bell is probably going to have a go here based on previous evidence. He is looking for those aggressive moves. It's an aggressive defence from Hall this time, who will hang on to the place as a result. But Bell will get a much better exit off of the corner despite having to go through on lap traffic. There's going to be an attempt maybe into turn 1.
Yeah, looks like it as well. Bell's looking quick. I'm not going to lie. He doesn't look afraid of actually putting that car where it needs to be, does Bell. And he likes that outside run up the hill. He's obviously clearly got pace going through turn 1 because he seems quicker through there than any of these cars. You can see John Uyan has dropped back a little bit away. So we've got a 3-car field of Mike Bell, Tom Lane and Brian Hall, battling it out here. So this could end up going off as well. We've got GT3s in front of us. Uyan is slowly slipping into the grasp of Timon Suvic. So that's going to be, we'll keep an eye on that one. But this is, yeah, Bell's looking racy.
Oh, Tom Lane very nearly clattered into both of them as well, like a game of skittles there. Thankfully, that didn't transpire. But out over the sort of rise in the road they go, and now down towards the chicane again. It was just not quite quick enough in a straight line here, I don't think. Down into the chicane, no chance this time around for Bell to get through, and up over the hill again. It's a good exit this time though. Traction is very good for Mike Bell, but can he stay alongside here? The Acura, he will do. Wow, that was close. Very close between them at the final chicane, the final corner there indeed, but Bell couldn't quite get through. He's got very good traction and corner speed, but not the straight line speed he needs to make this work. Yeah,
I think he's definitely set it up for a more corner speed-esque setup to make sure that he can carry the pace and carry the speeds at corners. He may be substituting that for a little bit of top speed down that long straight, but you could see the exit. Brian Hall gets it all wrong. Now Bell's going to try and go down the outside of 6 and 7. He is going to wing it around the outside. Is he going to have that outside line coming round? He's got to leave room because Brian Hall is not going to give it to him, and I think they are going to be running now side by side here once more with Tom Lane nestled in. There's GT3s up the road as well. This is going to be an interesting one as they come down into that 10A and 10B. Hall has cleared lane, so Bell, from Tom Lane. So there we go, and Bell's come back at him again. They're not having it. They're throwing everything at each other at the moment.
Yeah, the traction and the corner speed for Mike Bell is just so much better. He couldn't get through on Craig Pullen. I think that is there, though, quite as quickly as he wanted to. And now Tom Lane will have a go in towards turn 1. He looks to the outside. No, he won't be able to do that on that occasion. He will have to stay behind all over again. But what a battle we're seeing between these guys now. We're just approaching the 1 hour mark to go in this race, but this is a classic Road Atlanta battle. The corner speed versus the straight line speed, and at the moment Mike Bell just can't find his way through because of his lack of straight line speed, even though his corner speed is fantastic.
Yeah, his corner speed is second to none at the moment, but for Bell, he's going to run around the outside. He's going to get it done, but we think with his short top speed, I think he could struggle. So, you know what I mean? It's going to be very, very difficult here once more from Bell, and whether or not he can hold this on. But it's now all about Brian Hall and Tom Lane currently.
Yeah, Tom Lane makes a move down the inside, and it's late on the brakes again very late on the brakes and not indeed too late. So 2 places lost by Hall in a matter of corners there, and Tom Lane is now through into 5th position in the hypercar class, as we've got movement here from the top 3. Wouter de Bruin has gone into the pit lane again, and that's even shy of 20 minutes into this race, so he's clearly struggling on fuel De Bruin, because everybody's going to make up a place as a result of that. Don't know whether he's got damage, but that will certainly be 4 stops for De Bruin. By the way, if you want to make it on 3 in Hypercar today, you'll have to get to the 50-minute mark to go and pit after that, so still plenty of time to go until then.
Yeah, the thing is, Ross Smith did say he made it on 3 on Thursday, but he did have literally nothing left as he crossed the line, right? And that's the thing. So whether or not anybody's going to be brave enough to do it here is going to be interesting to see what they can and cannot do, and whether or not they're going to be able to, because they're going to have to do a little bit of fuel saving here as well.
Oh no! Oh, off! One of the Acuras, I think it is. Is it Tom? Or is it one of the?
Tom Lane.
Is it Tom Lane? Maybe. I think it's Tom Lane, wasn't it? Just up in front of Hall there. Just went straight off the road. It was on the brakes, not late on the brakes and difficulty controlling the car, and I think Tom Lane just went straight off there onto the side of the circuit. So don't know what that was all about for Tom Lane and how things quite went wrong there, but it was all on the brakes and it all went very wrong very quickly for him. He's now dropped to 7th behind the likes of Timon Subic and John Uyen, who he was fighting with before anyway, but that was not ideal for Tom Lane at all under the brakes.
No. Well, let's have a look. Oh! He had a big old snap there.
He tries to turn in on the grass slightly, doesn't he? When he's got his wheels on the grass, I think, or at the very least he's got them on the curb, and it just sort of gets away from him very easily as he's turning into the corner. And for Tom Lane, that is it in terms of where he was running before. He'll have to regain some of those places all over again down here into this corner. I just wonder whether the cars in front slightly distracted him as well, because there was a lapped hypercar there that he was going to have to put a lap on, and unfortunately he didn't get to. Wow, that's George Endelidis, I think, in the way there, and one of the Acuras went around the wrong way, so Tom Lane will gain that place and get back to 6th.
Yeah, he has at the moment here once more. Tom Lane is back up into 6th. There's Timon Subic behind him. Ross Smith there as well. George Angelidis off the side of the circuit. Lepetri off as well. So this is Angelidis going down into turn 10. Yeah, just doesn't. Oh, comes back on track and then.
Trip through the grass would have been okay, but it's the bobble on the way back onto the circuit again. Send him around. Oh, that wasn't a good rejoin though. It wasn't a good rejoin. Straight in front of one of the Acuras, and it allowed Tom Lane to regain one of those places he previously lost. That is a big mess into the top of the hill there between one of the GT3s and one of the Hypercars, which really struggled to get things stopped and even hit the apex at all there. And the flash of the lights in apology as well, as the Hypercar lets the GT3 go back through again and go straight off again. So clearly problems being had here by some of the Hypercars in an attritional race that's already becoming very difficult for some.
Yeah, that was Enrique. I've got a funny feeling this could be another DNF as well. We have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars at the moment. Buse is in the pits, Enrique's in the pits. I've got a funny feeling that's going to be another retirement. But at the moment, Subic and Lane are scrapping it out. Kirby is 4 seconds now behind Bernardo up the front end of the Hypercar Pros. I'm just keeping an eye on the GT3s and seeing if we've got any nice little battles developing there. Jaime Zalecki is in 1 at the moment, and he's got Peter Meyer there in front of him. So for Jaime Zalecki, he has got Peter Meyer in front, but yeah, that's probably about what's happening in the GT3s at the moment.
Yeah, so Zalecki needs these places, of course, for the championship in GT3. We know that already Healy will be gaining points at the moment, and so needs to be very careful of that. But everybody's all very close together in the GT3s at the moment. So we're just trying to work out who's where with that, and I'll do that in a little bit. But it's all about just getting in these places where you can at the moment. For Zaleki, every point's going to be important. That's very wide from the Nissan in front. Not sure whether that was a place or not, but at least it's a bit of track position for Zaleki to make use of. And certainly will do. So JT Tammy is leading in GT3 now overall. Becky Healy back to second. Zaleki is in third. So at the moment wouldn't be losing that many points at all. Only 4 in fact there. Yes, okay, so only 4 points being lost by Zaleki, and that will bring it up to 24 before the final race. So Becky Healy wouldn't take the title here in this race as things stand, but Zaleki can't afford to let that go any further really in terms of losing even more points.
No, and I want to have a look at John Uyam. As he coming into 7, and he does that.
Oh no!
I think there's
He didn't try and rejoin there, that's the difference, but he did still go right back onto the apex again, and it's going to be finding it very, very difficult to get back going again. He's going to have to reverse now as well. This is all awkward.
It doesn't look too clever at the moment, but Johnny Young does manage. There's Daniel Kirby as he goes past him, so bit of a tough one for some of these drivers.
He did a good job with that eventually.
Yeah, he did.
He did a good job with that eventually, so that is positive. At least as the sun begins to set here at Road Atlanta. We've got just less than an hour to go in the 100 minutes of Road Atlanta tonight. That means we're approaching the halfway mark of this race now, with around 50 minutes to go when we get there. I believe that may have been Ian just making his way out the pit lane in front of Bernardo. Was it, or was it Kirby? No, it is Ian in the other of the Peugeots, because Bernardo hasn't been in, neither has Kirby. Can both of them go another 6 or 7 minutes to make this on only 3 stops today, I wonder?
Well, we're going to find out very, very shortly, but it's all about what Uyan's going to do here, whether or not he's going to basically let Bernardo through, or is he going to play the team game and maybe just you know, hold him up a little bit. I don't know, you know what I mean, considering Kirby is literally not too far behind him. So just putting it out there, you know what I mean. Johnny Yang could play a little bit more of a part in this yet, so I'm not saying he would, but I'm just saying possible.
Off there in the gravel at the chicane. Don't know who that was. It was sort of a yellowy looking hypercar to me, but not sure what was going on there at all actually. But let's see.
That's make a lock.
Ian makes his way past. Okay, yeah, probably. That's certainly looked like him. Was up there in hypercar and beforehand, and will be fighting for the win today. Let's see how Michael Lock finds himself there. Just broke late and spun into the gravel. You'll be glad that you don't get stuck there on this on Vector 2, but even so, it's a spin into the gravel, and that will have cost him 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely would have done that there as well for Michael Lock, and he's now not, well, he's got a massive gap to Bruin, mind you, 19 seconds, and he's got a big old gap back to Wayne Hutchinson, so, you know, he wasn't under threat of losing that lead, but at the same time, probably not ideal. Becky Healy, 3.8 seconds now to JT Tammy in front. Brandon Gant is side by side at the moment with Peter Meyer, as we see Michael Lock come through the middle there, and Gant has just cleared Peter Meyer with Eugene Mazur 20 seconds back at the moment. Goncalves is another one in this Audi. He's battling away with currently Eugene Mazur, so from Goncalves and Mazur, a nice having a little tidy battle down in that GT3s at the moment.
Yeah, they are on board now with the Audi on the way down in towards the final chicane. Now nowhere near close enough for a move on this occasion, as the shadows really do descend on the circuit this evening. It's getting a little bit difficult for everybody to see quite where they're going. For Vinicius Gonçalves, hopefully he's all right, not too far away. He's about 10 seconds away from Brandon Gant at the moment for 4th in the GT3 standings. It's Hypercars he's got in front at the moment to negotiate. One Porsche and then one Lamborghini as well. Not sure who the Lamborghini is at the moment, but holding up this train just a little bit. Down the inside goes Gonçalves in towards turn 1, and he's made that move. Now for the Lamborghini, he's going to have to do it somewhere else. But
that's Buse.
Being held up. You can see he's being it's Buse. I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's Smart Buse.
Yeah, I suspected as much, but it's certainly holding up Gonçalves now, trying to go through. But time lost there once again. That's what I said earlier on. It's not just about cars in not your class, but
can't
also
get past
the others in your class as well.
Yeah, he's not passed. He's still here.
Oh. Well, I looked at the screen there, and there was no Lamborghini, so I just presumed he was past. But
no, he's still there. I'm not sure what. Do I go on the run or do I not go on the run? It's a hit and miss here at the moment, isn't it? Because
it might be an on-track position, though. It might be an overall position. I don't know where that AMP driver is in the overall standings.
Is a lap down. He's a lap down here as well. So please.
Here we go. There we are. That's as easy as you like now for Gonçalves. He should get through now. Whether there's any argument about that or not. Oh, that was close as well with the accurate in towards turn 1. The Audi just fairly slow through there as well on that narrow line. They'll all sort themselves out now, and they are through as we enter the halfway mark of this race. Some GT3s in already here. The likes of Peter Meyer and Alain Lefrancois are both in, which is concerning, because that could mean a GT3 would have to make 4 stops today, which we're certainly not expecting. You want to be able to go to that 50-minute mark, and interestingly, Bernardo wasn't able to do it. Daniel Kirby is only 2 minutes away in Hypercar, but Bernardo is going to be making 4 stops, and so we got split strategy at the front of the overall race.
Yes, we have, and that's going to lead us to, as the normal things, when they come back together later on. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens with that front end of the field here. So, bear with us while we keep an eye on it all. Daniel Kirby, as I say, is out front. Bernardino now is lost. He's down. Well, he's 14th.
Oh yeah, but I think he's made us. He must have made it.
Yeah, he's on the way out of a stop. But I'm just saying, why is he down in 14th? Yeah. There was enough gap.
Oh, yeah, that is a long way down. Yeah, because he's 2 laps off the leader as well, I think, which is the pressing issue. And he's not up to full pace either. He doesn't look to me. No, that hypercar behind is catching him at an alarming rate at the moment. So there's clearly been a problem for Ernest Bernardo, and unfortunately that means our battle for the lead may well be spoiled quite considerably, and he's letting through that hypercar as well. There's clearly big problems now for Bernardo, but I'm not sure what they are. He's running at a very reduced pace for the moment, as we see news of a penalty for Michael Lock, by the way. All is not well with this car by the looks of it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look comfortable. Does Bernardo. He's now, 14th, so strange. It's strange, because I can't see anything either that Bernardo's been involved in. The last thing I've got is him pitting in and then just not really coming out at a rate of knots. But Suvic's now in as well. He was going to be battling with Tom Lane. Mike Bell's in the pits as well, so Lane has also just come in once more in that Hypercars. Ross Smith sitting in 3rd place now as he goes past the guys that are in the pits, and I believe he has got John Uyan behind him. So for Smith, he has got Uyan, but he doesn't need to look at allowing him through, I suppose, on that one.
No, it's very close between the two on the run down the hill here. Ian almost not looking where he's going at all, just following in the wheel tracks of the driver in front for now. So we are over the halfway mark of this race, actually. Less than 50 minutes to reign in the Virtual World Sports Car Championship. Penultimate round, and it could be a title decider for some as well. In GT3 AM, Eugene Azura is expected to take the title at the end of the day. He's currently running in 2nd, which is more than good enough for a position to get into the championship winners list for this year. Becky Ely has not gained enough points for the moment to manage that. and neither has, well, Wayne Hutchison may have done. We'll have a look in a few moments as to whether Hutchison is on course for that, but Hypercar is obviously in the middle of pit stops at the moment. It is looking good though for those who are in the pit lane right now, like Brian Hall, and also Kirby, who hasn't been in just yet. Ross Smith hasn't been in either for his second stop, so it does seem that for some of these Hypercars 3 stops is going to be possible. It's going to be already a 3-stop race, not a 4-stop, which some were fearing at the start of the day, although some will have to do 4, of course.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few that will have to be honest, here as well. I don't think for John Uran, he's probably already done nearer that. Now, earlier on, I did say about Daniel Kirby lapping pretty much everybody up to 5th place. Ross Smith is in the pits as well. That's the last unlapped car there, also out on the circuit. But for Gilles Lalonde, he's got George Angelidis, who's had a torrid time here tonight, still having a torrid time by the looks of it. Both of these guys are 2 laps down, so this is effectively for position here with Gilles Lalonde and George Angelidis. So yeah, they're effectively fighting for 11th and 12th, but both cars 2 laps down.
Yeah, and that's about to happen around Road Atlanta. By the way, I do think that Kirby's got a chance of lapping absolutely everybody at the end of today, by the way, not just the top 5. I think he could grab everyone here today. Let's see how far he gets with that, because it's a difficult task at any circuit, unless you're obviously I suppose oval driving, but even if you are, then that seems to be smaller anyway, the gaps there, so you know, it's tricky. But if it's going to happen anywhere on the schedule, then it will be here. We're our shortest venue of the season in terms of track length, in terms of lap time certainly. And Road Atlanta so far has delivered a very, very busy race for almost everybody. I mean, look at the back straight there, for example. It is very, very busy on the back straight there as we look at Wayne Hutchison making his way in towards the final chicane. It's about survival a bit for him at the moment as well, given that he's put his main championship rival away by quite a few laps at this point. Just needs to gain those points on him and take home the title at the end of the day. Will that happen or not? Well, we will wait and find out. If he does win, then he will be crowned champion at the end of the day. He already has a 34-point advantage with only 39 available at the end of today.
Yeah, I can't see him losing out. There was a big flash of the lights by Angelidis there. I believe that may have been Enrique in front. Angelidis was not happy about something, and Philip Enrique going up through turn 2 and 3 may have caused that little bit more of a drama than it really needed to be. That's Bernardo going past Gilles Lalonde. He's obviously trying to come back through the field, sitting in 11th. Obviously there was an issue there as well. Walter in YouTube says earlier in the outlap it was smoking. It seemed to have settled down a bit, and he's got a little bit of a pace, but it is going to be tough, I think, for Bernardo to actually do anything now, being this far down, battling away with the likes of Gilles Lalonde and also George Angelidis. Both of these guys are a lap down. Bernardo now goes into 10th, so yeah.
Well, yeah, it seems to be the long stop that's really undone him, because Kirby has made his stop now and is 30 seconds in front of Lane, but I reckon that on a normal day Bernardo would have come out in the lead again, because he generally wasn't he? But he was pitting earlier and would have had to make an extra stop, and that's what was keeping him with the likes of Dan Kirby. Unfortunately now, for the rest of the field in Hypercar, Dan Kirby has got a handle on the strategy and the pace, and he's going to be very, very tricky to beat in Hypercar as we have a look at the overall standings now, and the way people have moved throughout the day and where they've got to now. Generally those at the front in a multi-class as well have gained a lot of places, but even so, just make it impressive. And it does show you who has fallen by the wayside as well, because I believe we've got quite a few retirements already, and there they are, already 7 in fact. Jerry Chen being the latest of them, and Takanashi as well, who was leading earlier on in GT3. Oh dear, and Gilles Lalonde is off now as well. Yeah,
he had a contact with...
Oh my goodness.
Contact with Boos. Then, well, that...
wow. That is a huge crash, and involving multiple drivers as well. What a mess that was. So, the Lamborghini's involved here. George Angelidis as well. Lalonde tries to make his way through and tries to make it free wide. Gets caught up with the Lamborghini. And then Lalonde passes straight into the Acura, and George Angelidis as well in the other Acura. and causes a right old mess in towards the 6th turn. So unfortunately, Gilles Lalonde there is probably going to receive some penalties at the end of the day, because unfortunately 3 cars have gone off, and I would say that he was maybe at fault for or responsible for all 3 of them ending up in the wall.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. That contact there I don't see as necessary, and that braking point I don't see as necessary. That I'm not one to start conspiracies.
Nice.
Nice. You know what I mean? Unless they're true, of course. But that looked somewhat deliberate. But that's all I'm saying.
It is a bit. Oh dear, there's more contact. These are live pictures, by the way, and there's more. Oh, there's more here. Is that the Lamborghini again? No, it's someone else,
it's
isn't it?
Stephen Miller. It's Stephen Miller.
Yeah, apologies. A similarly coloured McLaren getting involved this time. But that was live pictures, by the way. Still, it's going on here. The first contact, I can. To be honest, I know what you're saying, because it somewhat does look almost deliberate, and that would be very bad, of course, in towards turn 6. However, I think all of the contact is explainable. The contact with the Lamborghini, first of all, was a misjudgment, as Lalonde was trying to make it 3 wide and go through the middle. Just edges too far to the right-hand side, and when you make contact with the Lamborghini there, cars do get connected a little bit. You get dragged off further to the right, and the Lamborghini didn't have much space to go anyway, so ended up in the grass and then in the wall quite quickly. So I can explain that one in that way.
Oh, there's a car in the wall!
Dear.
Daniel Doink!
Is that the leader in AM? Yeah. Oh dear, the leader in AM off in the wall in a big way. We'll get back to that crash at turn 6 in a moment, because it's a solo incident.
No, it's not!
So it's not a solo incident, but it starts off solo indeed. It gets on the curb at the final chicane, goes for a slide. The Hypercar not expecting that amount of slowing through the midpoint of the corner, gets straight into the back of the Audi, and that is the leader in GT3 AM with no rear wing.
That is the Wout de Bruyne as well. Straight into the back end of Daniel Doink.
Oh dear, is that someone off again as well, just up in front of De Bruyne there? Or maybe not, maybe it was his headlights. But certainly not a good moment for Wout de Bruyne there to get straight into the back of the AM leader. Oh, and off! Wayne Hutchinson's off! Wayne Hutchinson's off the road and reversing back onto the racing line again. Let's hope that he doesn't get involved in any more contact here. He's on his own.
Oh, no!
It's with Doig there, who's span at turn 1 with no rear wing, and has been on the racing line in front of the Hypercar AM leader.
Okay, so here it is from Daniel Doink's point of view. He spins it and then drives.
Oh, he doesn't know where to go.
Oh,
he's trying to get off the racing line, but he doesn't know what to do. He sort of feels, I've got to get off the racing line, but when someone's arriving like that, it is best to just stay on the racing line. At least in hindsight, it would have been in that respect. So that's a real shame for everybody now, but unfortunately, I guess he just didn't realise he had no rear wing.
Yeah, this is what Wayne Hutchinson saw. That.
Looks bad from his point of view, doesn't it, really? But he's trying to get off the racing line. So you feel like that's the right thing to do in all situations, but unfortunately it isn't, or it wasn't on that particular occasion, and Hutchinson has got minimal damage, actually, but I reckon he will be into the pit lane at the end of this one. He will have to make 2 more stops as well. It won't just be the 1 more stop remaining in this race. It will be 2, because he's still got 40 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm going to be very surprised if he doesn't hug the right-hand side. Well, he isn't hugging the right-hand side. Do you know the weirdest thing is that contact was at a pace, right? It was at a definite pace here. But he just seems that in that Porsche 963 that nothing kind of has happened to his car. He's just like, meh. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's not a little bit more damage on that one. We have lost Eric Monet as well. I've got a feeling we might lose Doing. Lalonde's off the side of the circuit again. Schultz is off the side of the circuit again. I think a lot of people here are struggling as we come into that nightfall situation. So let's have a look back at a couple of these ones. starting with Alexander Schultz. Gilles Lalonde
again is
again.
off in front. Spins him straight in front of the Acura, unfortunately. Yeah, me. It's getting messy now towards the end of the race, or the second half of the race at least. Now Lalonde battling side by side with
Enrique, and
another one of the Acuras. 3 wide, there's a lot of contacts here, and
off he goes.
Not quite going to keep it on the road. Oh, it goes for a spin as well.
Yeah, Gilles
But if that
Lalonde.
Peugeot had a rear wing to lose, then it would have done there, because he backed it straight into the wall. Unfortunately, Lalonde is finding it quite difficult now, and it's not just him. A lot of these drivers are finding it quite difficult now. Mistakes are creeping in, and the incidents are coming thicker and faster now at this stage in the race. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it definitely is. As I say, Monet's another casualty, along with Jerry Chen, Takanashi, Roland Hagenaz, Jesse Monrose, Jason Whitehead, William Miller, and Mark Sumflap. So we've got Concalves into the pits. Daniel Doig is into the pits as well. A lot of cars spread out from where they normally would be. JT Tammy is trying to chase down Becky Ely. Becky's just going over the hill there. You've just seen her disappear into the distance. So overall, it's getting a little bit scrappy, and some of them incidents do look questionable.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say any of them deliberate at the moment. As we got off the road at the final chicane there, another driver, unfortunately, I just think everyone's getting very fatigued towards the end of this one, and getting pretty ragged with their driving. At least some people are. By the way, Jamie Zalecki needs a podium place today to guarantee keeping the title alive, even if Becky Ely wins here. He would lose 15 points as of right now with Jamie Zalecki, and started the day 20 points behind. So with a 35-point advantage in the final race, Ely doesn't actually have a lot to do at Bahrain, but even so, doesn't need to turn up, because Zalecki could well outscore her at the very end. But we've seen the GT3 race change again and again, and it may well change just one more time before the end, because JT Tammy is only 5 seconds away from the lead, for example, at the minute.
There he is. They start trying to close in as well. Last lap time though for Becky Ely was her fastest overall, 1:19.312. I believe. No, last one. Sorry, my mistake. 1:20.3, 1:20.5 for JT Tammy. So still not really making a closure there as well. And the HY should also be a DNF. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. It is really a tough one when you're in that turn one. But we have lost Doigi. Here's a DNF'd, unfortunately, there as well. So another car down on that one. Katarinakis has also been off the side of the track here. What do we think it is? Do we think it's going from day to night that they're struggling with? Do we think that they're having issues elsewhere? It's yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, to try and decipher here.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think that the point about darkness is a good one, because it's a point that is as clear as day, if you don't mind
the pardon,
the use of words. Yes, there. It's the fact you can't see as well in the dark, and as simple and as silly as that sounds, that will affect them, obviously. So that has got to be coming into play. The fact that we're over an hour into this race now, we haven't had a race longer than an hour for a very long time now. That would have been Watkins Glen probably in the summer, the last time we had a race that was as long as this one, in terms of being over an hour. 60 laps of the Den would have been the last one that we had, and that was in June, wasn't it? So, it's a long time since we've had a race as long as this. But also, Road Atlanta is probably, if not one of, the tightest circuits on the calendar. Certainly one of the shortest ones around. It's very, very difficult with all of the traffic. There's so many cars out there now, and even though we're in the mid to high 30s, as opposed to in the mid 40s when we started this race, it's still very, very busy out there on the circuit, and very, very difficult for everyone to contend with the amount of traffic that we've got. So, it's only natural, I think, that we see this, but it's creating a very, very busy race indeed, as Wayne Hutchison has some more defending to do here. He is just ahead of Gilles Lalonde at the moment, but still leading in Hypercar Am, of course, and that's exactly where he wants to be to try and clinch the title at the end of the day. He was 34 points ahead coming into this, so if he wins, he will take the title no matter what, as Lalonde takes a trip through the grass at turn one.
Dude! Like, What? Can we safely say that was a bit of a dodgy rejoin?
Well, yeah, it certainly was. But thankfully, Hutchison is driving at a pace at the moment, which is so conservative in what he's doing, is that he's actually, I guess, didn't actually affect him in the end, somewhat luckily, but still. Wasn't particularly great for him. Hutchison's barely going as quick as the GT3s through the corners right now, by the way, and he is being caught for the lead in Hypercar AM, although he has a lead over Benjamin Portes-Heap, who's now second. Michael Locke is another 5 seconds back, and Philippe Henrique is obviously laps behind as well. So that's why Hutchison hasn't come in, because he knows that he can make one more stop, repair the damage, and reduce the amount of stops that he's making over the course of the day. So this next stop is going to be a long one. However, he's soldiering on with the damage, despite clearly lacking front downforce, because he is struggling to keep up with the GT3s through these high-speed corners.
Yeah, just I'm not sure. I've never seen Gilles Lalonde this bad. Like, he's never been this way. It's like we've had YouTube say there as well. It looks like he never really touched his brakes going into that incident in 6. It did look scrappy, but I've never seen him quite like that, and that's the thing. It just looks so bizarre from his point of view that I don't know for Lalonde. And then that rejoin was just, well, shocking, I think would be a word. Absolutely shocking. So yeah, I'm not sure what Gilles Lalonde, if he's driving angry or he's got his head on or whatever the situation is for Gilles Lalonde, but rather than causing people problems, you know, park it up, son, and have done with it. You know what I mean? Let's not try and do anything more drastic. Yeah. If you're angry, don't drive. Because clearly for Gilles Lalonde it's causing a problem, and one that I think he needs to assess within himself whether or not he wants to be associated with what we've just seen from him, with Buse on this specific straight, going down into turn 6, then that rejoin, then the contact with Schultz. It's not looking overly clever, and if there is penalties, well, for Gilles Lalonde, there's going to be a lot of them, and could have ended up leading to an eventual DQ anyway. I'm not sure how he should have go about this, but probably if you don't want to be on track, or if you're going to cause people problems, stick it in the pits, innit, and go and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I think that's what I would do.
Well, he's still out there for the moment, just over half an hour remaining here at Road Atlanta. We've got, a big battle here as Hall tries to make a move for the top 5. Ross Smith trying to hang on to this one. 2 Acuras going head-to-head. And, wow, that was aggressive. And Ross Smith is the one who comes off second best. It's Brian Hall who makes his way through in the end. And Ross can't get back on the circuit at all here. He's going through the drifting chicane. Well, I'm not sure why he turned around there. He could have just gone through the drifting chicane instead. And well, I'm not sure that's actually what it's used for, but it is.
Sounds good though.
And he gets back going again in 6th place, and thankfully not in front of everybody either. Valtteri De Bruyne is just in behind now, but this was a physical battle between the 2 Acuras into the final chicane.
It was, and then it puts Smith round. Now, ideally, you can just drive up and go round there. Obviously, he tries to do that, which would have looked good if he'd have done it. Unfortunately for Smith, it didn't, and then he kind of got a bit stuck. So, yeah. Not an ideal scenario at the moment here as well, but I suppose now while we've got these gaps across the field, it might be a good time to talk about Dan Kirby and just how dominant he has been here, hasn't he? He has been just driven it out of his skin. He's done what Dan Kirby does best, and is going to take the victory and pretty much lap everybody, I would have thought, because he is at that point of where he has nearly lapped everybody. I said top 5, and I did get it right. He has got everybody up to Brian Hall, who is in 5th, has been lapped.
Thing is, I don't think he's going to stop there. I don't know how far he is actually away from the others, actually. But I think he is going to continue on. Maybe my prediction of everyone, well, literally everyone, was a bit ambitious. That's not looking like it's going to come true at the moment. But yeah, it's still possible for him to get some more here. There goes Kirby through the final chicane. We already know that he is champion of this series, and really late on in the season as well. He's been absolutely fantastic. He didn't get off to the greatest start. He was winner at Daytona, but other than that, he did struggle. Podium at Sebring, I suppose, but that was, in 3 of those opening 5 races, he scored 0-0 and 1.5 points, which is really very little by the standards of Dan Kirby. Then there was that win at the 4.8 Hours of Le Mans race where he shared the car with John Ian, followed by another win, a couple of wins at Watkins Glen and Mosport, and there's been another couple in the string of 60-minute races that we've had as well, culminating of course in the Fuji win, and then second place at Indianapolis late on. When he, I think, ran out of fuel at the end, didn't he? Or was that someone else? But there was certainly fuel dramas for someone at the end of that race. Kirby certainly didn't win it either in the end, but he was still crowned champion last time around, and he's been absolutely dominant. I don't think there's really been many points this season where we thought realistically that anybody was going to get close. The fight for second will be interesting. John Ian and Tom Lane were separated by just 2 points at the start of the day, and Lane at the moment will be putting some points into him and overtaking the Peugeot to put a Porsche in second in the Hypercar standings.
Yeah, it's we'll see how it all evolves, I think, in that Hypercar standings as well, as you say, with John Uyan and Tom Lane. Tom Lane, obviously, if he stays where he is at the moment, he's going to have a bit of a gap over Uyan going into Bahrain. With John Uyan down in 8th, Tom Lane up in 3rd at the moment. So, from that point of perspective, it's going to be interesting to see as they get 38. So Tom Lane is going to conceive 23. John Uyan's going to conceive 6. So he's going to be 17 points back going into the final. Actually, what has he got at the moment? 2, 16, 17, 15 points back going into the last race at Bahrain. I'm a little bit concerned by this one. I'm going to have to show you. Bear with.
Yeah, we'll have a look at it when we can. Just on down in towards the chicane. Just a trip across the grass this time, and getting underway again as well, because that, as we've seen with Ross Smith a moment ago, that transfer back onto the tarmac again is quite a bumpy one. As this wasn't nice, into the final corner, straight into the tyres there for one of the Acuras, another one of the Acuras. Okay, Schultz, we haven't seen a lot of actually today, but the first we've seen of him really in full view has been into the wall, which is a real shame. So that's a long way down now for him. We're getting towards that point in the race, by the way, where you can pit in any of the classes and make it to the end with 25 minutes to go. You should be able to go 25 minutes anyway, because that is a quarter of the race distance still remaining on our clocks here this afternoon. So coming towards the end of our race now, 100 minutes at Road Atlanta, and we are beginning to finish up now. The gaps at front of the field are fairly large. Other than this one, JT Tummy tries to close down on Becky Ely for first in GT3.
Yeah, he is. Whether or not he's going to get near her, mind you, she's not very far up the road. She's just lost about a second of time. So I don't know if Becky Ely is struggling in that car at the moment either, because she has just lost about a second and a bit over JT Tammy, or whether or not she's come into some form of incident with passing cars in Acura there as well. So JT Tammy has closed on. This is the battle for the lead in the GT3s, and this is probably actually, I can tell you now, the closest battle on the circuit currently here as well. We've still got Majeur out in front of the GT3 AMS, and to be honest, I don't think anybody's going to stop. But there we go.
Towards the final chicane. That, by the way, will give Mazur the championship by quite some distance by the way. We were told that he needed to come inside the top 7 today in the standings, the race results, to be crowned champion. So Tommy closed in a lot there on all the hypercars in towards the chicane, but they sort of protected Becky Healy from really being closed in on herself. But now she's pretty defenceless to hold off from JT Tommy, who really is closing in. I think they are, well, I'm not sure if they both actually do a final pit stop here or whether they've already taken it, because realistically, if you're going to do a 2-stop in GT3, which was not out of the question, you would do about 34 minutes, and obviously that point was ages ago. So these two might be able to go to the end, but who knows? It could be Healy versus Tommy for the lead, and this is for the championship as well, of course. At the moment, Healy wouldn't be taking it, but it would be very helpful for Jamie Zalecki if Becky Healy didn't win this race and JT Tommy took it away from her instead.
Yeah, for this fight in that championship, of course, is it going to make it interesting, and Zalecki does obviously would benefit from this. He is sitting in second, but at the same time, I don't think Healy's going to give this up with a fight, although it would benefit, and although it would benefit him going into the final race. I don't see Zalecki getting near. I think there's going to be possibly a big enough gap where Becky Healy does have to go to Bahrain, but doesn't have to go and win the race. I think that's going to be the situation. I think Healy is just that little bit out of touch. I know it's only 20 points, and I know here they do score 38 and so on and so forth, but I just think she's got a little bit too much in the bag. You know, she's going to pull out here as well. If Zalecki's in third, he's going to get 23 points. She's going to get 38 if she wins, 27 if she doesn't. So either way, there's going to be a 15-point gap or 4 points on top of the 20 that's already there. So I can't see it from Zalecki's point of view. Never say never. Don't get me wrong, never say never. But I just cannot see Zalecki getting there, and that is Boos managing to move out of the way, this time without being punted into the wall.
Yes, it is. So that's good news. But yes, things settled in GT3 AM at the moment. Tammy now in the slipstream of Becky Healy going down in towards the final chicane. Is this going to be a move on this occasion? No, is the answer to that. I'm not sure the straight line speed of this Aston Martin is going to be particularly strong or strong enough to action a move on its own. The Acura seemingly a little bit sleeker in its appearance and a little bit better in terms of power as well. Over the top of the hill they go, rising down, dipping below the other side now and through the final corner for JT Tommy. It's a good run through here as well. There's going to be a flash of the lights from one of the hypercars, and Tommy just lifts off early to let that one through. Healy's going to have to do the same on the way in towards 2 and 3 as well, with a lapped GT3 just in front of them as well. Healy breaks early here to allow in the Porsche, and now Tommy is right there on the back going down towards the S's. There'll be no move here, but it's just about sizing up the chance for later on.
Yeah, it is, and I believe that's Stephen Miller in front here of Becky Healy. Miller needs to just remove himself from this equation. Don't keep right now. Move. Come on. Now can I run? Please.
I mean, well, it's always a bit fluid in sports car racing, isn't it? Blue flags in terms of getting out of the way, and now they will do indeed. Becky Healy has got much better traction, much better straight line speed as well than this Aston Martin, and that is a concern for JT Tommy, because it does make you wonder, where are you going to make this move in the end? There'll be hypercars going through now as well. That's Tom Lane, isn't it? Fighting with John Uyen, I believe, down in towards the chicane, and this could get messy. Becky Healy very much involved in all of this. Oh, and a big dive from another one of the prototypes as well on JT Tommy, and he won't be particularly pleased about that. There is Tom Lane, and Uyen is quite a long way behind all of a sudden, very far behind actually. So Lane hangs on to 5th place in that battle there, helped also by the traffic, just like Becky Healy was in that exchange.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that wasn't Timon Suvic. Who is the other? Is it Dahlgren's the clear one? No, Dahlgren isn't. Was it Schultz? It was Schultz. So Alexander Schultz was the one that dived JT Tommy going into that first bend. Obviously for Becky Healy and JT Tommy, they can now resume their battle, but only just because they've now got John Uyan, I believe that is, coming up behind him as well. No, it's not. It's actually Daniel Kirby, your leader. So these guys will have to be a little bit careful as Dan Kirby does come through. It does look like a little bit of carbon fibre left on side of the circuit there on that entrance into turn 6. But yeah, it's Yeah, it's getting spicy now as we're coming down to the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, not much time remaining in this one, or much time for JT Tommy to find a way through Becky Ely at the moment. It's not particularly important for Tommy to stay involved in the championship fight, of course. He's 53 points behind at the moment, and that is quite a long way. He needs to gain a lot more than this on Ely if he wants to stay involved in the fight. But the real gap is for Ely versus Zalecki in that fight, because the difference is 11 points. Ely would miss out on 11 points if she were to not win this race. Compared to the position she's in at the moment. Right now, with Zalecki running in third place, she's gaining 15. It would only be at 4 if she gets overtaken here. So that's the margins that we're playing for at the moment. And so even though she will still be extending the margin, it's still not great news being overtaken and losing this race win.
Yeah, she doesn't really want to, but to be honest, 4 points gives her 24 going into that final round, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there as well. So that will give her a 24 if she does lose the win. And sometimes losing the win might be easier than getting yourselves into a little bit of bother. And going into Bahrain as well, you know, there's going to be points options there available that she could just turn up at Bahrain and not really have to worry too much. I think that's one of the things that is on Becky Ely's side, is the fact that obviously Bahrain is coming up. It's not going to be tough for her, I think, because of the situation with Bahrain anyway, being an 18-minute race. So again, it's the 38 points up for grabs. She really doesn't need to. She can finish in the top 3 by my maths and still manage to take the title. So it would be better for her to win, obviously, you know, and take the full 38 points here. But second isn't to be sneezed at if it meant that you actually will finish the race. And I'm a little bit concerned that Mike Bell has had a little bit of a ta-ta-ta here, because it looks like I've got Bell and Boost off at the same time. Let's have a look now.
Well, that would be lap traffic if it were to be the case. Oh, it's Mike Bell who's off first. And where does Boost come into all of this? Can't see the Lamborghini for now. No, they're not related. Oh,
there they are. I'm wondering if there was contact originally.
Oh, well, it's got no rear wing now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's happened, but it was separate initially, and then they got together, which is a bizarre way around to happen. I think he got on the grass there, Debussy, and those tyre walls, which are supposed to catch you from a high-speed impact by falling away, and it does work in real life, by the way, but unfortunately for that particular incident, it's just lopped off Busey's rear wing there, kind of annoyingly, and so he'll have to come back into pit lane here, and they approached each other very bizarrely, and just going back onto the road, Boost losing control of the car. Thankfully Bell didn't hit him in the end, and they can all get on with their day, but that was awkward, and Busey's going to have to come down pit lane to get a new rear wing.
He has done already, but now we've got Mike Bell, and I believe that's Philippe Enrique behind him there. Obviously, Enrique's laps down. Michael Lock is now leading the Hypercar AMS over Wayne Hutchinson by about 10 seconds. Hutchinson there, as we know, was losing time rapidly after being involved in that incident with Daniel Doig. How Hutchinson still had a car, I am not going to lie. It was some meaty impact there. But he has survived. He has gone into the pits, come back out, and is still running at the moment. However, last lap time for him is a 120.1, where Michael Lock was a 114.0. So, you know, still not quite up to speed, should we say, for Wayne Hutchinson.
No, definitely not. I wonder whether he did even bother preparing to damage there, or whether he decided it was better not to. Don't know. Is this putting his chances of clinching the title tonight in jeopardy? Well, not especially. Philippe Enrique is only scoring 18 points at the moment, and he would gain 9, would Hutchinson. That would be enough for the title. If he were to lose 5 points, or he would lose 4 points, sorry, for losing this next place, would he still be okay? I think so, but it wouldn't be sure. He's got 34 points as of right now, so he needs to gain 6 to be sure, but he's got way more race wins, so he'd win on countback anyway, so 5 would, gaining 5 points would be fine, and he would manage that if he was to finish second or third. So right now it's on Enrique to get onto the podium again. That's the only way he's going to stay in the championship fight, and right now that does not look like happening.
It's never going to happen. And I say,
wow, big statement.
Do you know why it's not going to happen?
Well, he's laps down and he's in the pit lane at the minute.
Yeah, he's 5 laps down. He's in the pit lane, and Benjamin Portier is further up there. So unless he has a major issue, how is he going to get it?
Well, no, that is the only thing. It's going to have to be a major issue for Porteous Heath, because after all, it only takes you 6 minutes to lose 5 laps around here. There's still plenty of time for that to happen, but it's probably not going to.
I tell you what, if you predict that happens, right, do me a favour, write down 6 lottery numbers for me, because if you predict that Enrique might be able to get near the podium, please write me down the lottery numbers, because I will be well impressed with that, because he's 5 laps back.
I think at that point, that prediction is so wild that actually you could make a case for it being a curse rather than a prediction.
Yes.
Because that is so wild that it probably should be. Oh wow, that was close. Porteous Heath taking a very tight line into the final corner. Was that JT Tommy? Was it, or was it it was someone else? But it was a very tight line from Porteous Heath on the way into the final corner there. And thankfully they got away without incident, but it so easily could have been another crash into the final corner against Brandon Gant. It was in the Nissan.
Oh, George Angelidis, what have you been up to, buddy? Where are you? So here he comes now. Oh, poor, if that's Mike Boost again. Oh, Angelidis does that on his own, off the curb of 5. There's another one coming. I've got a funny feeling there might be another one coming here, because Kataranakis went off not far around him. So whether or not they've...
Also, he's got the problem of getting back on here as well, hasn't he? You can't actually really see around this corner. He's having to do a more than 3-point turn, and this is just a horrible place to be.
Yeah, he manages it there. I'm wondering where...
Oh, no. Oh,
George. Where does Kataranakis come into this? Because they are... Does he even come into this, or is this just Kataranakis? Oh no, that's Kataranakis going off completely on his own. But there we go. And then John Uyan also going off the side of the circuit here, as Uyan goes and takes a trip over the gravel and the grass. And now we've got Benjamin Porteous Heath, who's running very, very slowly currently at the moment. So,
he's hit Angelidis.
He's hit Angelidis.
Yeah, into turn 3 there. So he's gone around in the Toyota, and thankfully there's a bit more space for him to turn around there. But it's just very late. I think Angelidis was a little bit cautious into the corner, but maybe he has got rear end damage now, Angelidis, and that maybe contributed to his problems at turn 5, because he didn't look to be under complete control of his car through that section there. By the way, Tom Lane and John Uyan are fighting for a championship position there. Uyan second in the points coming into today by 2 points, and with Tom Lane being ahead of him right now, he'd take over that place in second by 1 point. So it would be very close between them going into Bahrain, and basically a case of whoever finishes ahead of the other will take that position in the final race of the season. So Tom Lane right now has got a job to do, and he's done very well, although Uyan is into the pit lane now for his final stop of the day with just 10 minutes to go. As long as Tom Lane doesn't have to make one himself, then he should be fine to finish inside the top 5 and ahead of Uyan at the end of the day.
Yeah, looks like he will be, hopefully. I'm pretty sure that he's probably not going to take it, but he's not going to have to stop his Tom Lane. He should wrap up that 4th place, to be fair. Just to let you know, the DNF situation, we're now 9 deep, so unfortunately we've lost 9 cars throughout this as well. Dahlgren's 4 laps down, Angelidis is 4 laps down, Alon's 3 laps. Then we get into the 1 lap of Bernardo, Smith, Uyan, Hall and Wouter De Bruyne. Tom Lane is managing to hold on, because there is Daniel Kirby going into 10A, almost for Mike Boost. There was another moment at the back.
Yep.
Did you see that as well?
Yeah, it was all stacking up in the background there, and it's Mike Booth who's been in the walls today. It was one of the Acuras braking very late alongside Buse there. And I have a feeling it was Becky Ely, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just...
Maybe. Yeah, here we go. JT Tammy is closing in as well, actually. He was trying to fight his way through. So with less than 10 minutes to go, I'm pretty confident these two can make it on fuel, and it is a fight for the win between them.
Yeah, it is now just a flat-out sprint here. There's Wayne Hutchinson in the background. He's coming into play as well. He's obviously looking at taking that title today, which I think he will. We've still got 27 seconds to Benjamin Poitier's heat. I think the chances of him losing that amount of time in 8 minutes, I'd be very, very impressed. But it is now Ely and JT Tammy just going to go full bore at it here, and we'll see how much and who comes into play in this battle, and whether or not anybody does, and whether or not we can keep it a straight fight between these two going over the last 8.5 minutes.
Yep, it's not long now. Tammy looking for any sort of slipstream at all, and so will Becky Ely. Just pulls to the right hand side as well here on the way in towards the final chicane now. It's going to be later on the brakes for the Aston Martin. Probably, I think it's better through the corners than the Acura, but the Acura is so strong in a straight line, it makes it very difficult to overtake here at Road Atlanta. We'll get a better view as to all of that as we go on board with the Aston Martin now, making its way over the line to start another lap now in towards turn one. You just see Tammy close in. Look at the way he can take more corner speed through the opening corner of the racetrack, then over the top of the hill 2 and 3. Becky Ely can barely hold the correct line in the GT3 at the moment. That Acura really struggling towards the end here, but it's good enough on the traction, good enough in the straight line, good enough in the right areas to still stay in front in the final minutes.
Yeah, she's going to be working hard. It's Becky Ely. It's going to be working hard. I wouldn't be surprised if she's going to be absolutely knackered by the end of this, because, as you say, the Aston Martin has got a lot of traction coming into them corners now. This is where the Acura can say, okay, I'm off now, thank you very much for that, and it's got the overall pace. Maybe she's set up for that. We don't know, do we? It's like Wayne Hutchinson the other way, you know, or was it, who was it in who had great corner speed in the Hypercars? It was Hutchinson, wasn't it?
I can't be sure. It was... oh goodness, this is really testing me now. I don't know if it was Hutchinson or not.
Or was it Mike
We haven't
Bell?
seen him in that many battles today. Hutchinson has had damage and he's been struggling through the corners after that. So
I'm sure there was a Hypercar we said had great speed, but low speed
Yes.
coming down the straight, and I'm wondering if Ely's set up the other way, where a corner speed isn't, a corner grip isn't amazing, but her top line is. So maybe that's what we're seeing, and she's managing to hold on just by using the pace of the car and maybe have a lower wing on it. And I'm just putting it out there, for spitting it out there in general, that could be the case. But either way, this battle is going to rage on as we come down now into the last 6 minutes of the race.
I think that is certainly what's going on. I mean, look at how close Tammy is here again, and Becky Ely forced to even defend. But look at the traction the Acura is going to get and the straight line speed that it has as well. There's just no competing with that at all. By the way, going through on these guys as well is Timon Subic and Tom Lane. They're only a second apart or so in this fight for third place. There goes the BMW, I think, of Subic, and then is Tom Lane just behind? No, that's not him, is it? There is another fight. It's for fifth. Oh, excuse me. They're on an entirely different part of the it's a different battle entirely. Tom Lane will close in though. Tom Lane will close in, and this could be a podium here. He'll try and get the traction. He'll be very close to getting alongside, and in fact one of the GT3s went slightly off there out of turn 7, but now there's a chance for Tom Lane to go through. Surely you can barely see him behind the Hypercar in front, but it's not making any difference. The slipstream's not really happening for him at the moment. He's going to have to dive down the inside on the brakes, and it won't happen. Tom Lane will stay fourth for now. Timon Subic hanging on to this podium in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, I am very shocked that draft doesn't work in a different way, because yes, it's it's there and it's available, but it's just not very strong, and I'm quite surprised at that, especially with these hypercars as they are. Suvic's now defending like crazy. He is defending as he's going to go through 2 and 3. This could lead to disaster here as well, because he's going to be now making silly moves to get away from Lane. Lane needs to clear Miller. Enrique's in there as well, and now he's going to lose time. 1.3 seconds, that's just cost him. 1.3. What is, hold on a minute here, what is going on down here? There is off tracks everywhere at the moment with Schultz and Lalonde, so just bear with while we have a look back.
Yeah, we'll have a look. The battle for GT3 honours, by the way, getting close as well. It's an escaping of the car through the brakes, and then Gilles Lalonde is...
He's gone past, but...
just drives past there. So this is separate. Lalonde is trying to go past Brandon Gant and just gets it right on the outside of the corner into the wall there for the Peugeot, unfortunately, and everyone will avoid Brew there, so that was okay. Thankfully, I'd imagine a bit of damage now. Lalonde go for a spin at turn 3 as well. Multiple spins, actually, in multiple directions.
He's doing multiple things, is Gilles Lalonde here, because that was Alain Lefrancois, and I'm wondering if that...
Okay.
I'm a little bit confused. No, Francois just got pushed out there, but Gilles Lalonde is doing multiple things in multiple places on the circuit. He's clearly got damage for Gilles Lalonde, but he just... I think it's time to park it, really. I think for Gilles Lalonde, he's had a bit of a torrid race, hasn't he, really?
He has had a difficult one. The battle for the lead in GT3 then, and Lalonde is coming into the pit lane right now. We'll see if he re-emerges, and George Andalidis does as well. You'd imagine he's got damage right now. Subic has still got a good advantage over Tom Lane right now. And Becky Ely has not quite got the same in GT3. In GT3 AM, Eugene Mazura's got just less than 3 seconds over Peter Meyer as well. So that one's getting close. Getting very close. JT Tami has gone for it, and there's traffic with the Ford as well. There's a flash of the lights from Tami. It was all going on there at turn 2 and 3, and thankfully they've all made it out. Somehow they're all still in the same positions.
Why did JT go there? I don't get that. I don't get why he would go there. Like, top of the hill, 3 wide. Unfortunately, we can't have a look back at it.
One of the Corvettes is off as well at turn 7 there, but yeah, it's probably too late now, isn't it? We've got so many battles going on here. We've just
so bizarre.
2 minutes. I think, well, it's so late on in the race that I think Tommy is just willing to try anything at this stage to try and get the win, because when you're in this situation, when you haven't got the straight line speed and you're continuing to lose time in traffic as well, you just get frustrated. You're just always going to go for any sort of half chance that you've got, and that's what Tommy did. It may well have been his final go at taking this race lead away, because Becky Ely has restored a bit of an advantage at the front now. Yeah,
but now by having a go, he's now cost himself that run, and as you can see, that's Timon Subic and Tom Lane battling it out. So by having a go, it's cost him more time. And when did anybody say free? Wah! No, he spun her!
It's gone! Contact for the GT3 leader, and Becky Ely's into the wall. The championship leader as well. She was set to extend her championship margin by quite some distance at the start of the day, but it's not going to happen anymore. It's only going to be a few points taken over Jamie Zalecki now, as the incident in the final minute takes the lead away from the Acura and gives it to JT Tommy in the Aston Martin, who now leads the field.
Yeah, I think there was contact with Subic. There's the first one.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm surprised there wasn't more contact. There was that initial bit that you mentioned with Subic. I'm very surprised that in the lack of control that she would have had over that car, that it didn't clatter into someone else. As Daniel Kirby now makes his way over the rise for the final time, he is going to get to the line before the clock runs out, so we will get one more lap here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and he's lapped everybody up to Tom Lane in 4th. There's Dan Kirby. I'm going to keep a bit of an eye on him. I'm not. Yeah. I'm a little bit shocked by all of this. I've got to be honest. There's some of these. I know it's Road Atlanta, and I get that, and I know it's tough, but you know, some of it's been a little bit out there, isn't it? It's, you know, been a little bit top shelf as such with some of the driving. So I'm sure that George or Ross might come out and say, okay guys, that was a little bit scrappy. Timon Suvic and Tom Lane are still fighting it out. If they don't get, but Dan Kirby's in the background, right? He's there as well. He's coming in now just to wrap up this win. Suvic, I'm not really sure that was 100%.
Oh no, too late.
And that, my dear, would what we call karma here, because that weaving down that straight was a little bit ridiculous going into that turn. But here's the end here, Ewan.
Well, Daniel Kirby is going to take the win. It's another win in the Virtual World Sports Car Championship in 2023 for Daniel Kirby, who crosses the line flashing his lights, and he is a race winner again. In Hypercar AM, Michael Lock takes the victory on this occasion in the Porsche, and that is by quite some distance in the end to Wayne Hutchison, who is going to be a champion in Hypercar RAM. In GT3, JT Tamiya is going to take the race win. Becky Healy going to finish second, I think, just about, extending her championship lead by 24 points ahead of Jamie Zalecki, who will finish in third. Yuji Mazur is yet to come across the line, I think, to take the checkered flag, unless I'm mistaken. Take not only a race win, but also a championship in GT3 AM as well.
Yeah, I think that is probably going to wrap up. The only one I think we're going to have open in Bahrain might be GT3. GT3s, won't it? Because I think everything else is, yeah, GT3s. I believe everybody's finished apart from Concalves, who is just coming over the line there as well. He does finish off. So well done there. So let's bring you up the session results of this race. We'll do that before, and there we go. The results are on your screen.
Kirby winning. Mike Bell having a fairly quiet second half of that race, but finishing second. Tom Lane moves up to second in the standings as well with a podium ahead of Timon Suvic and Otto Walter de Bruin, who finishes in fifth. Then John Ewan sixth, ahead of Ross Smith. Then we've got
Brian Hall.
Brian Hall in 8th place. Ernest Bernardo still finished 9th place ahead of Michael Lock, the Hypercar AM winner. In 11th position was Magnus Dahlgren, who was quite a long way further back than compared to where he was in Indianapolis. When Hutchison clinches the title there with second in Hypercar AM ahead of George Angelidis, Benjamin Porteous-Heath in the Toyota finishes 14th ahead of Jules Lalonde and Alexander Schultz. JT Tommy wins in GT3. Becky Healy extends her championship margin over Jamie Zalecki to 24 points. And Vinicius Gonçalves finishes 4th in GT3 there to round out the top 20. Brandon Gant was 5th, and he officially comes out of championship contention now as well with this result. John Mayer in 22nd ahead of the GT3 AM winner and champion Yuji Mazur, finishes ahead of Peter Meyer and Philippe Henrique, who unfortunately had that damage and so finishes a long way back. Great pull in 26th ahead of Alain Lefrancois. That was third and fourth in GT3 and with Stephen Miller rounding out the top 5. Adrian Rice and Josh Lepetri round out the top 30. We've still got plenty to go. Katrinakis, Buse and Torrance were the final drivers to finish, and then a long list of retirements. Daniel Doig, who retired from the lead of GT3 AM after a great opening to the race. Eric Monnier and Jerry Chen were out through the midpoint in Hypercar. Yuki Takanashi crashed from the lead of GT3. Roland Hagnos crashed early on along with Jesse Monrose and Jason Whitehead as well. That rounds out the top 40, and there will still be 4 more DNFs, I think, on the other side of this, or maybe less, maybe none. But
no, there is.
Yes,
there is. The session's just unfortunately done what the session does. Yes, so I'm just trying to catch up on that one. So I will bring them all up for you when we can get back and get up and running once more. But yeah, great race, I think, as well. I think there's going to be some very unhappy individuals here, and I think Becky Ely might be one of them. Me personally, I would be a little bit upset. I'm not going to lie from what happened there, but it is kind of almost what it is on that side of things, but I would definitely not be too impressed. But there is the back end of your DNFs there as well. So there we go, from 35 to 40.
Yes, so that is, we've gone through the DNFs up until this point, with Jason Whitehead up to the bottom 40, and then there were two more, in fact it was William Miller and Max Sunfenlap, who retired earlier on, unfortunately. So that is it for the 100 minutes of Road Atlanta. Let's bring in Daniel Kirby and all the rest of the class winners here this evening for a bit of a chat after the race. Welcome in, Daniel. Good to have you with us once again. Another race win overall in this championship. How was the traffic out there today? It looked very busy. There were lots of retirements in the end. We knew Road Atlanta was going to be attritional, but just how was it compared to your expectations?
Yeah, it was definitely more busy today. We had the same race on Thursday, and it wasn't nearly as bad because I think we had like 10 or more less cars. And today with like 42, it was quite hectic.
Yes, it certainly was. I mean, how was the Peugeot around here? I mean, you end up winning by a long way, of course, and couldn't really go up against any of the manufacturers in actual battle. But how is the Peugeot handling around here?
It was pretty good. Yeah, maybe a little better than I thought it would be. We had a good fight going in that first stint until Ernest went off in turn one. Would have been awesome to see how that battle would have played out with the different strategies.
Yeah, it certainly would have been. What are you expecting from Bahrain? You've already wrapped up the title, of course, and you keep getting race wins. What are you expecting and hoping for from Bahrain in 3 weeks?
Go as fast as I can and see if I win it.
Well, that's all you can do. Daniel, congratulations on the race win here tonight at Road Atlanta, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks very much, Daniel Kirby, Hypercar winner here tonight at Road Atlanta. He finishes ahead of Michael Lock, who was the Hypercar Am winner on this occasion, and we can bring him into the booth as well. Welcome in, good to have you with us as well, Michael, Hypercar Am winner tonight. Yeah, Road Atlanta very, very busy this evening, and only 5 of you in Hypercar Am, but a hard-fought race. What were you thinking when you saw that Wayne Hutchinson eventually got damage in that point with a bit of contact at turn one? What went through your mind at that point?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was so surprised. I thought I'd for sure mess it up because I had a damage all on my own earlier, so I thought he was going to take it, but then he stayed in the pits for a long time. So yeah, I think I was behind like 7-8 seconds, so I knew that's what I had to do to pass him up. So yeah, it was just all about survival, really.
It certainly was. And just how difficult was that to achieve because of all of the GT3s that were out there, and of course all the other hypercars, because there were plenty of them as well. I know that we lost about a quarter of the field by the end of that race, but it was very busy for everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, Road Atlanta is an awesome track. I mean, the race went by quick, to be honest, 100 minutes, but it felt like the quickest race of the season so far. Yeah, I mean, overall, it was good. Just make sure you don't take any crazy risks, and it went all right.
It certainly did feel like a quick one, a busy one for absolutely everybody, I would say. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Micah, before we let you go this evening?
No, just thank you guys in the broadcast booth, CMS and the Gangstorm mod team for putting this all together. It's really fun, so I'll be back next year for sure.
Absolutely, we look forward to it, and hopefully at the next round as well at Bahrain. One more to go, of course. It's not the last round, but hopefully we'll see you there as well. Congratulations on the win tonight, of course, and hopefully we will see you in 3 weeks.
Yep, see you then. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Michael. Look, the winner in Hypercar Am this evening, and that, of course, was all ahead of the GT3 Am winner, Eugene Mazur, who can also join us now. Eugene, welcome in. Good to have you alongside us. You are the race winner at Road Atlanta tonight, but also the champion in GT3 Am as well, confirmed with 1 round still to spare. How are you feeling after having clinched that title now and completed 100 minutes around here at Road Atlanta?
Relaxed. Feels good.
Yeah, it certainly must do. I mean, what was the last few laps like? You were getting chased down there for the lead, and it got down pretty close. Were you ever worried that you were going to be caught up in the latter portion there?
Well, on this track, everything can happen in front of you or behind you. So I was just holding on to the wheel and driving. But yeah, I was keeping an eye on Peter because he was dangerously close and giving me some worries.
Yeah, it was close towards the end, certainly. Any expectations or particular targets for Bahrain now that you've clinched the title? Are you going to be there in 3 weeks' time? What are you hoping for?
I hope for the win again, but we'll see how it goes.
We certainly will. We look forward to seeing you in a few weeks, Susan. Congratulations on the win and the title here tonight as well. And we'll see you at the final race of Bahrain.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Yuji Mazur, their championship winner in GT3 and with a race win, 100 minutes of Road Atlanta as well. Now, JT Tommy is not waiting for us at the moment. I don't know where he is, and we will hold off for just a moment to see whether he will join us or not. But for now, James, it looks like we're coming towards the end of our broadcast this evening. An interesting one by all accounts, really. An entertaining race. And as Micah said, I think it didn't feel like a 100-minute race, really, did it? There was so much going on that, some of the 60-minute races this season have been less energetic and less packed with action than that one.
Yeah, there was, but I think a lot of that is probably down to the fact that obviously Road Atlanta is Road Atlanta, and that's the problem. It was very tight. There were very silly moves. There was some very questionable moves. There was some very questionable braking points, and it all got a little bit messy towards the end, I think, as well. As darkness started to fall, they all got a little bit messy. But look, at the end of the day, they've managed to get through. We've got one more to go in Bahrain, so let's see how that goes. We've still got 3 rounds on the historic. Tune in for the Laguna one, though, mind you, because we find out, hopefully, what next season's historic years are.
Yeah, that Laguna race, by the way, comes after our final one here in the Moderns. So make sure you look out for that. Just to give you an overview of what the rest of the schedule looks like, because we do still have 4 more broadcasts to go here for this season. Next week, same time, same place, we're Austria for 250 kilometres around there in the historics. Then we've got a week off before Bahrain, our final round here, and then a week off before our double header in 2 weekends in a row, Miami, then Laguna, to round off the season. And as you just said, James, we've got announcements to come at Laguna as well about 2024, which we're very much looking forward to. That Laguna race, by the way, coming at the start of December, so we're still quite a way away from that, about a month and a half, in fact. But make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel. There's plenty of other racing going on. We're past 1.5k subscribers now, so it'd be great to continue the growth that we've been seeing recently, and thanks very much to you for that. For now, though, we will be signing off for the evening because it's been a very long race indeed, but a very entertaining one. As champions were crowned, Wayne Hutchison is the champion in Hypercar Am, and in GT3 Am, Eugene Mazur confirmed himself as champion as well. There'll be still 2 contenders fighting it for the GT3 Championship in a few weekends' time at Bahrain, of course, so make sure you tune into that when we get to the 80 minutes of Bahrain. For now, though, we'll be signing off. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt here this evening. Until we see you next time at Bahrain, it's goodbye for now.